Test.
We're all good.
Check. You're good? Ready to rock and roll? Well,
Take 2.
let's do it.
Yeah, let's try to recreate those 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's easy.
Thanks for coming on the pod, and thanks for letting me use your shit.
Right?
This is dope. So what we were saying is we spent the day together yesterday for the most part.
Yeah.
We hop in the car, like driving back to the Airbnb, and Morgan's like, wow. And I was like, I know, right? And what we were talking about is that we aren't very impressed a lot of the times, especially with other couples.
Mm-hmm.
And like what you guys have going on over here, what you've done with your kids. I told you like your youngest shook my hand when I walked through the door yesterday. She's like this big. I'm like, what the heck? Like, it's impressive. So you guys have killed it, and we're in the stage where we're figuring out what kind of parents we want to be. And we, just spent the day with you all yesterday, and we're like, yeah, pretty much like that.
Thank you, man. That honestly, it means the world when people, give me a compliment like that. It's nice. It's refreshing because sometimes you just, as a parent, you don't know how to do it. You're just winging it. You kind of, look at others and look at your parents and see how you're going to make it better. And yeah, man, we work really hard to try to make sure our kids are, going to be able to go out into society one day and contribute and be able to be a good human being. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of talking to your kids and listening and quality time. I think that's what that comes down to. And yeah, I really appreciate that. It means a lot.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that compliment than anything, man, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a huge one, right? It's weird too, man, because we've noticed with y'all and with another really impressive, like, good couple that we know, they homeschool their kids.
It was the most incredible thing we've ever made as a decision as a family, is pulling our kids from school. It wasn't easy. The wife will definitely.
So they didn't start out, you pulled them out.
We pulled them right in the beginning of COVID.
Okay.
And they'll never go back. And it changed our whole family dynamic. It changed everything, man. It was.
You guys are super close.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, we work from home. I mean, fortunate, we've built businesses that we're able to do here, so we're with our kids breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I talked to some of my friends, and they ship their kid. They go to work before their kids are up, and then their kids get shipped off to school. And
you have like an hour or two with them, maybe.
And I just saw this thing where they talk about, they did a study with all these parents and these dads, and the dads wrote down how much time they actually think they spend with their kids, and then they actually studied how much time fathers, not just home, but actually with their children throughout the day, and it came out to like 12 minutes.
12 minutes.
12 to 15 minutes. And my wife and I, we talk about how fortunate we are all the time, just because I get to work with my kids. Like, obviously our daughter, my oldest, runs the podcast, and then our youngest is the little head baker with our sourdough company, and so we just, we're with them 24/7. And I'm one of those dads, I don't want my kids to leave when they get older. And I know dudes that have countdowns. I worked with a guy that had a countdown on his computer. And every day he would get to work, he'd log in, and it would tell him until his last kid was 18 years old. And I always remember, like, that's weird to me. And now I love it. I want to be able to build something big enough where they can live with us, like, on the property and never leave. Like, that's my goal.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome, man. When you get to enjoy your kid, it's sad to me that, like, these people just. I'd rather hang out with my kids than 99% of people, and it's cool. You raise cool kids, and it makes it really enjoyable. And they go everywhere with us: business meetings, trips, vacations. I mean, the wife and I, we can go and do whatever. Like, we have our date time and our alone time, but we have more fun when we bring our kids with us. We all are into the same thing. They eat really good, so we get to try a lot of crazy foods, and they're all about traveling. And yeah, so it's been cool. We are really, really blessed with the kids that we have.
They're a direct reflection of you too.
Thank you. I 100% agree.
Right? Like that's the goal.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I'm
not a parent yet, so like
I feel like
I want my kids to impress other people. Like your kids impressed me. I was like,
thank you.
What the hell?
Yeah, it's
this
fucking,
little girl's like,
dude,
good handshake too, for the record. Like, I was like, fuck. All right. Thank you, Kay.
Yeah, it's cool that it's not like, hey, go, they just know. It's just teaching your children and being an example and getting them out. And what's funny is because people are like, oh, you know, the old stigma of homeschool kids are the weird ones. And it's like the roles have completely been reversed now.
Yeah, I
And
don't
so
think that's a topic of conversation at all anymore.
you can't. There's no people say like, oh, don't you social? How do you you homeschool your children? Aren't you worried about them not being socialized? And I always ask them back. I'm like, one, when's the last time you sat in a room full of your same age peers, 30, 40 guys the same age as you? Like, when's the last time that you did that besides a school environment? And two, no offense, but like, I don't want my daughters or sons hanging out with 50, 60, 70, 100 other 16-year-olds. Mm-hmm. You don't know, like, the different backgrounds, what's going on at home. They're all bringing that to your kids. Uh-huh. And instead, with us in homeschooling, I mean, we have a business meeting. Our kids come with us. With our organization, we're meeting with, CEO of a company that wants to sponsor us here. The kids get to come, and we bring them, and they're part of it, and so instead of them sitting and hanging out with 110-year-olds all day or 16-year-olds and dealing with all that shit, they're able to go to have business meetings with us. They're traveling with us. They're learning skills. They're meeting all these different age range of adults and learning how we deal with these people, personalities, mirroring and matching them, building out presentations for a sponsor or a donor, investor, and so they're involved and they get to hear all of this, and it's just the talk. And they're around real estate, they're around marketing, they're involved in everything because they're here and they hear we have work that has to be done. And so it's like, hey, we have to get this done. You want to help? And so yeah, it's kind of evolved into that, and you get pretty good kids out of it, I feel like. So
they're learning real life skills.
Yeah. And it's scary to us because we've been out of school since, how long it's been? It's been 5 years now. Then we pulled them at the beginning of COVID, 4th or 5th year. But anyways, even watching your kids transform, they're not into the trends in the school system. They're out of the system, so they're looking from the outside in now at their old friends. Mm-hmm. And their friends. And as parents, obviously you spend so much time with your kid, you really get to know them. And so we've watched the system kids evolve, and we've watched our kids evolve, and people, I'm not knocking it because not everybody's able to, pull their kids and go full blast in the homeschool. But one of the things that we've noticed is how our kids are evolving completely opposite of public school kids.
Oh, it's not even close.
And we sit and we're like, God, man, remember that kid? Remember her? Remember that kid was so bright, and now they hit this certain age, and all of them, they all just it's just clones. There's no personality to them when you look at them. We'll go to these places and events, and it's night and day, and we're just like, God bless. And even my kids notice it now. They're like, Dad, you notice that? Like, you see how they're acting? They can't register why.
Yeah.
Kids say and act and do these weird things. I'm like, it's trends. It's part of just being part of the crowd, and they don't understand it. So it's like, we're like, okay, we're doing the right thing, And
yeah.
People give a compliment. We're like, okay, we're doing the right thing, because you'll question yourself doing this.
Oh, I guarantee that. I think it's beneficial too how they were in public schools,
mm-hmm.
and then you rip them out.
Yep.
So they kind of had they got to see what that was like. They haven't been completely sheltered their whole life. Not that they are with you, mm-mm. but you understand what I mean.
For sure.
Like, they've seen what that's like, and now they get to kind of compare and contrast. And
oh yeah.
I guarantee you they like what they're doing now far more than the schools.
We give them the option every year.
Yeah.
Every school year.
You want to go back to school?
Want to go back? Nope. There's not even like a, nope. Hard no. Every year, if they want to go back, well, they have the freedom to go back.
Really cool.
Why would they? They're done with school in 2 hours a day. My daughter did 4 hours the other day, and she's like, "Why did it take so long? This is the longest day ever."
Really?
4 hours of school.
Yeah.
And that's in what you're able to. The biggest thing with children and homeschooling, what we learned was, not every kid learns the same. You could sit there and you could have me watch a video all day and then, okay, take it apart and build it. I can't comprehend. Yeah. I have to be able to do it while I'm being taught. That's just how my brain works. Other people, hey, watch this video, go write me a thesis on it, and I want this, and this. Cool, they're a fire and forget person, and I would have to go back and reread it 20 times, Everybody learns differently. That's one of the biggest advantages that we realize with our kids, is that you're in this cookie cutter system, and you're expecting all these different kids to learn on one wavelength, and they're not. You got boys that are in there that are cracked out on sugar. You got all kids jumping off walls. So the benefit to the homeschooling is you get to learn your child's style of learning and then hone in on that and focus everything on how that child learns that way. And then you're like, holy shit, everything just clicks, everything, and it's like our youngest, she's a fiddler, and she could sit there and give her a whiteboard and she can fucking draw on that thing while she's doing math, and she doesn't even register that she's working. She just gets to draw. And so we figure out how to be able to tailor your kid's learning style, and then you just hammer down on that. And it's not like some kid that's sitting there in the back like I was, bored as shit, distracted.
Spit balls.
Yeah, flicking little paper football, Now it's like, cool, make me 5 of those, and then you could turn it into a game. And everything's a learning experience. Everything. Our daughters hate it because everywhere we go, what's the total? Give me a percentage tip on this. What's the tip on this? If this is on sale for this and you're going to buy 2, is it better if this is a better value? So like the wife is incredible of making everything as a learning experience. You're going to the store with them shopping, cool. Just because it's cheaper doesn't mean it's a better option. Just simple things like that, which you don't even need to homeschool to do. It's just taking that time and teaching your children, okay, like this is the value in this.
But you can't do that when you're spending 12 minutes a day with them.
No. Nope. And some people are cut out for it, some aren't. I never thought, if you would have asked me before we started homeschooling, like, hey, you're going to have your kids home all day, every day, I'd be like, fuck no. Hell no am I dealing with that. Like, now I'm like, oh, God, please don't go back to school.
Dude, you remember when you were in school and you'd come home and maybe one of your parents would be like, so what'd you learn today? Mm-hmm. And you'd be in school, what is school, 6-7 hours a day?
8 hours.
8 hours?
Without sports.
Without sports, so 8 hours in the building. Mm-hmm. And half the time, fuck, I didn't learn shit.
No.
Like nothing.
No.
Your girl does some stuff for 2 hours. You can actually learn something in that amount of time. Mm-hmm. Like 2 hours. This is exactly what I learned today. It took me 2 hours to learn it. We're done.
Well, it's not even just that.
6.
They've broken down by age groups of what that child at that age is able to retain. And at 10 years old, it's no more than like 2.5, 3 hours. I think 3 hours max.
Yeah.
I think it's
like
junior.
Like that for 31-year-olds.
As a junior or senior in high school, maybe it was 4 hours. It's nothing more than that their minds are able to retain until they're just checked out. Mm-hmm. And then you're adding the drama, you're adding the bullying, you're adding just the high school life.
16?
Mm-hmm.
I was smoking weed at 16.
Oh, fucking A, yeah.
Before that,
I mention what the hell I was doing at 16.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and she's, and so that way you're involving your children. Mm-hmm. There's a way, and I say it, and the wife will 100%. We're going to do an episode together just talking homeschool here soon, and I tell everybody, if you have the slightest light going off in you of pulling your kids out of school and doing it, if you're just barely questioning, do it. Fucking do it. You will not regret it, man.
I think our decision's already made.
Yeah.
And we're not even have given the birth yet.
And it might, I don't know if there's a difference of just never going to school or give them a taste and then you pull them at a certain age when the curriculum really starts and they're, okay, it's time to start hunkering down. I don't know. That was just how we did it. We were never the homeschool parents, ever.
I had a actual really still a good friend of mine. He was homeschooled all the way up until freshman year of high school because he was a big hockey player.
Yeah.
So I was really kind of strictly for hockey. And he turned out great. Like he went to Michigan State, makes a ton of money now, successful, completely normal. That worked for him. So I think that's just, I don't know if it's a trial and error thing, but it's just discussions that need to be had, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you're going to question yourself. You're going to doubt yourself. There's times where the wife in the early days, she'd break down. Am I doing the right thing? Because it's tough.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there's so many different ways of teaching children. So you can do hey, I'm going to build out all of my curriculum. I'm building everything. And we find programs now, the girls are in this program, and it literally will not let your kids excel past a topic until they've mastered it. So instead of like in normal public school, you do a test, and I'm in the back, what the fuck does this mean? And we're already 3 subjects ahead, and I'm still trying to catch up. It doesn't allow them now, and so it grades everything. It monitors everything. We can look all the way down to how many seconds they spent. working on those projects in that curriculum. We just what works for us. You know, we travel. We're very nomadic people, so we're able to just hit the road, and they can log right in and knock out their work before the sun's even up when we're on the road. So,
yeah. And something that maybe you've thought about this, maybe you haven't, but with your daughter, you know, doing behind the scenes stuff for the podcast, look at all the perspective she's gaining from everybody that has sat in this chair over the past however many, it's been almost a year, right? Like all the stories,
that's all what it comes down to.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, we just had this
15,
conversation.
16-year-old kids do not have access to that.
No.
And she gets paid to learn that, right? That is unbelievable.
I know it's probably hard for her sometimes.
It is,
like they're
but
laughing because,
yeah.
like, right, you know, she's not a morning person. So waking her up,
I told her I was going to pay her. That's why she got
That's
up.
the only typical thing about her being a teenager. It's like, God, especially like on hunting trips, she'll go to bed at 7 o'clock and I wake her up. She's like, I just went to sleep. And I'm like, get your ass up, you know? But, yeah, it's cool. We just had that conversation. She's like, Dad, I have literally learned something on every single episode I have done with this.
Even yesterday? Heck yeah.
You know, and so it's cool that and she gets to see perspective. She gets to see different guys talking about crazy younger days, you know, or some of the women we've had on here talking about, you know, dating, or we just bullshitting and talking to her. And so, yeah, she gets to hear and just experience wild chaos stories.
Was that a conversation that you had to have with your wife? Like, hey, because I didn't hold back shit yesterday. Nobody on your show holds back anything.
Yeah.
You clearly don't. Like, you guys are wide open here. Was that a conversation that you had to have with your wife to be like, do we want her to see this?
No. No. I mean, this is how I look at it. I think a lot of people lose track when they're raising little ones. We've always had the mentality of, like, we're not raising children, we're raising adults. We're not going to lie to them. We're not going to hold anything back. If they have questions, they ask us the questions. We're going to be honest with everything. They're going to find out regardless, especially with technology, friends, these kids. I mean, you got 10-year-old little boys walking around with full access to allowing the internet to give them access to them.
That's
you know,
bad news.
So your kids are going to learn shit, and I don't care how much you want to shelter them. They're learning and they're hearing, and kids are coming home and asking, and you're just like, where the fuck did you hear that?
You can act like you don't know that they're doing that.
You can
all day long.
That's it.
You can act like that.
They're going to find out. So we've been
every time. They all are.
They 100%. Look what we were finding out. We didn't have access to this shit when I was a kid.
Stuff.
So yeah, so we've always just raised our kids as like these are adults one day. Like obviously we're treating them as children, and you evolve your parenting as they get older, but it comes down to it's like, cool, you're going to be an adult one day and you're going to know these things. So obviously we're not just teaching them things ahead, but if they have a question, we've always been there and open with them. So yeah, so when it came to her doing the podcast, this is life. This is real world. These are real people's stories, not fabricating anything. Like obviously I don't want her hearing some fucked up shit. There's a lot in this world that they don't need to hear yet, but for the most part, if somebody's going to come on here and share their experiences, why hide it from them?
Yeah, I think that's great.
They're going to find it anyways.
It's cool that I brought that up and you guys just kind of had that conversation.
Literally, she was just, Dad, God, every single guest I've been able to do so far has had a crazy story, like something that's been impactful. I'm like, it's wild, isn't it? And
because think of how much you've learned from your guest. You're 40. She's 16. She's like blown away probably. You know what I mean? It's really, really cool.
Yeah. You know, and she gets to see perspective from all these different people, from entrepreneurs to law enforcement, veterans. I mean, it's just everyone has this crazy different life experience, and she gets to listen to it all. I mean, there's some times where she's over there like falling asleep, and you could tell. But it's enjoyable, man. It's awesome. A lot of fun, yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks for talking about that stuff with me. We're in becoming parents is like really,
it's exciting,
becoming real for us, and again, that's all we think about. That's all we are planning for, and we're trying to figure out what kind of parents we want to be. We know, but it's nice when you get around people where you're like, oh, they're doing it. They're doing it right. And we only spent a couple hours together yesterday, but I just wanted to commend you on that because you guys are killing it.
Dude, I would say, like, if you want to have rad kids, take them everywhere with you.
I like that so much.
And my wife used to give me so much shit because I was like, kids there's no different than a dog. If you want a badass dog,
We take our dogs everywhere.
and they get used to the travel.
Yeah.
Like I got a buddy that his dog rides on his roof and he slams the brakes on it, like it hits the hood and hits the floor and running around the back and it's the coolest dog you've ever seen in your life. But that's just how it's been from a puppy. You just threw it on the roof and that's its spot. He gets pulled over. Cops pull over his fucking dog standing on the roof.
What kind of dog is it?
It's God, it's just a mutt. He used it for coon hunt. But dude, it's wild.
Swan dives off the roof.
Oh, it'll hit the hood and fucking rolls into the street, and it's a shit show. He's always getting pulled over for it. But it's one of those things that I've always told her, and she just admitted it. She's like, God, you're right all these times. I'm like, if you want rad kids, it's just like a dog. You want a badass dog, and you see these people with fucking cool dogs that go everywhere with them. Just then they get exposed to everything. There's no like, when should I start? I've never had that mentality. It's like, if they want to go, bring them. Even bring your kids before they're asking. I mean, bear baiting is the most perfect example. They've been forced. You want to kill bears off of but you have to put in the work. So they've always just done it, and it's nothing to them now. That's just how they are. You want to travel, there's going to be times where you're like, oh my God, like fucking kids won't shut up. You go through those phases. Nothing's perfect, but they evolve with you. And then it just becomes part of their life. If you want your kid to come hike and go on elk hunts with you, put them in your pack. Who gives a fuck about killing something? Your kids are just with you. Just take them. Because I have guys all the time asking me, like, dude, how old were your kids when you got them into it? I was helping carrying her, and I had her little sister in a backpack, like in a Faru pack, standing there. I'd cinch her in there, and she'd little head sticking out, and we'd hike all around with her.
That's so funny.
But then it's just how it is. And then when she a little ass could walk, I'm like, okay, you're getting too heavy. You gotta start walking. And then they just evolve with you. But it wasn't me. We gotta kill something. We gotta get something on the ground. It was just, hey, let's go. And then now it is. Because they've gotten past that stage. Now it's serious time. Now we're hunting. But in the early days, just take them and have fun, and then they just evolve with it. It just becomes, it's like us as kids. I didn't know, if I would take buddies duck hunting with my dad, they would shit themselves. It's the wildest, most dangerous shit. We're hunting big water, Lake Ontario. We're out in flat bottom and giant waves. That was just life for me. I'm out there as a kid driving this boat and pitch black and through shoals and different channels and shit, hauling ass everywhere. Didn't even faze me because that was life. I grew up in it. You take out somebody that flies in, they're like, dude, you guys are out of control. Like, I don't want any part of this. And I'm like, is it that bad? Same thing. I was just raised with it. So, yeah, I take them everywhere. And they just become cool kids. They're meeting people. They're going different places, seeing all kinds of crazy shit. It just becomes part of their life. And they just mellow out. I feel like they find that even keel, and then they start cruising after a bit, and it makes it fun.
Yeah, really good advice. I appreciate it. I want to get into, to me, dude, you're kind of like a mystery. Like Morgan's like, what exactly does Bam do? I'm like, I don't really fucking know.
Nobody does. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't really know. We don't, like, I know that you don't like to put all your shit online, and I know that you don't do many podcasts apart from your own. So again, thank you for doing this on mine. And
I just don't do a lot because I'm not that cool.
I think you're pretty cool.
Nobody ever asked me. So
I think you're pretty cool.
No.
Yeah, I guess you're welcome. But let's start off with maybe a little bit of self-reflection before I maybe ask some questions here.
Yeah.
Is there anything, and I like asking this question, but I ask it to specific guests, people that I think actually can self-reflect, like yourself. Is there anything in your life that maybe you're putting on the back burner, or maybe you should be doing it, but for whatever fucking reason you're just not, or maybe you're kind of half-assing it? Tell me if that question makes sense, where it's, deep down in your soul, like, I need to be doing that, or I should be doing this a little bit better.
We're doing it right now.
What's that?
The podcast. That was one of mine for the longest time.
Okay.
And it just ate and ate and ate away
just
at me.
something that's really been bothering you a bit for whatever reason.
Yeah, kind of how we talked about yesterday, man. Like, I'm in the middle of burning the ships. If you would ask me last year, I would
explain what that means to people.
So, I mean, me launching the Wild Chaos podcast, that was one of these things that I've just talked about. And Nash tried to get me going, and other people, the wife hounded me for so long, and then finally we were able to do it. But I had so much bandwidth, so we were making some big changes in our personal life as far as businesses that we're retiring from or getting rid of. It's been a hell of a journey, and it's been a great 11 years, but it's just time for us to move on from it. And I don't want to go super into detail about that because we haven't really gone public with it yet. And so, but it's wrote its course, but it takes up a lot of our bandwidth. Like we're putting everything into I'm on the road a lot for it. And so with us retiring from it, it's opened up this whole entire like chunk of life that we're able to focus into it now. And that was big on us launching the podcast and finally getting it going. And it's like one of those things where we sat back and I was just like telling the kid, and we're talking like, God, Chrissy, if we would have started this 3-4 years ago, holy shit, who knows where we'll be. But it's fun because now we get to look like, man, where are we going to be next year? So yeah, launching the podcast was one of those things that just ate at me for the longest time, and I knew I should have done it, and I kicked myself from not just doing it. And so, yeah, it sucks, but we're doing it now, it's not.
And that's the most important thing, Bam. And when you started it, I think is great because there's tons of podcasts out there, right? Mm-hmm. But you have enough data to kind of take a piece from here, take a piece from there. Of course, you're going to make this into whatever it is that you want to make it into, mm-hmm. based on what you like, what your vision and goal is. But we're not we're all taking something from somebody.
Absolutely.
And now there's so many good shows and examples of, hey, like, look what they do, and they're really successful. So mm-hmm. you kind of get to model Wild Chaos off of whoever it may be. Yeah. I know I model my show after tons of different shows, mm-hmm. and then just combine it into my own show.
Yep.
Right? Like, this is how I want to structure it.
That's what makes it fun.
That's what makes it fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's what makes it fun. Like, I've learned a ton of stuff just by doing your show yesterday. Kind of, hey, like, I like how you have that guest form, right? Where I'm doing all of my outreach personally on IG, sending people videos, mm-hmm. right? Like, that's my sauce. But it's like, heck, maybe if I get a good inquiry, maybe like it's already booked, right?
Yeah, then I put on their date of next availability, and they just put it in there for you, and I'm like,
it's so cool. And you give the people the option to travel to you, which this is bar none. Like,
thank you.
Sitting across from somebody. Like, have you ever done a Zoom podcast before?
I've done a lot, not personally, like for me, but I've done a lot of other people's, and
you're there, but you're not.
It's not as personal.
It's not.
And honestly, we've thought about this. I have the headphones. That takes it to the next level, I feel, of being super intimate with somebody is headphones, because it takes the room away and brings you. It's just you and that person, and so I just haven't done it here yet. I just feel like I don't know, these mics work great, but
yeah, I love actually strayed away from that.
Really?
I mean, I can hear you perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I understand, because then you can hear your own voice as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're really dialed in, but
yeah,
that's a good point. I like that.
I personally like them, but I just feel it doesn't fit for like this environment, like an mm-hmm. open setting, and then. But yeah, it's in the early days that's what we were running. But when we moved here, I got rid of it all, and yeah, I thought it was a little bit more intimate with somebody. You're almost like sucked into like a little room together, which we are. But
yeah, former military, right?
Yes, sir.
Happy with that?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Really good decision.
Yeah, I would do it all again.
You would?
Yep.
Would you let your kids do it?
Right? No.
No.
Why? I'm one of those.
Why?
If it was for the right reasons, well, one, no, I don't want my daughters in the military. Absolutely not. It's not no. You.
Okay. Why?
No. That's what's going to get me in some trouble. I was in a different MOS, a different job field. We didn't work with women. It was strictly 100% men in our field, and so dealing with units and later on working with units that were integrated with women, the drama, the problems, the stuff that we were dealing with, it blew my mind. It doesn't make sense for me that they would integrate them. You're just going to have those problems. But as far as like if I had a son, it would be super hard because it's weird now knowing there was never weapons of mass destruction. We never should have been in Iraq. We never should have been in Afghan. And so, but when I was a kid and we joined, it was the pride, 9/11 happened. I'm from New York. I was in school and watched the towers fall.
How old were you?
What year was that? 2001. I graduated in 2003, so I'm a Marine. Do the math. So, and it was one of those, like, I'm going to serve my country. I should have gone, and, I was really looking at playing college football and going off and doing that, and the war broke out, and I was like, fuck, like, I have to. Like, it was just I had to. And so, yeah, I joined the military. I joined the Marines to go and defend my country, and I loved it. I love my Marines. I love being a Marine. Toward the end, Marine Corps really wasn't for me.
How long were you in?
I did 8 years.
8 years.
Got to do some really cool things, really things that most Marines probably never get to experience, which was really awesome. I had a great career. Like, my 8 years in couldn't have gone any better for any other Marine. Like, as far as promotion, traveling, getting to see the world, I was very, very fortunate. And
Did you have any deployments?
Yeah, I got 2 deployments. Yep.
What were those like?
They were fun, man. I mean, I got a buddy that's coming here actually tomorrow that I deployed twice with, and it was a shit show. We had.
He said it was fun, and then he followed up with it was a shit show.
I mean, the stuff, just the shit we got into, and the fun that we were able to have, and just, I mean, because James is an Abrams tanker, I was an Amtracker, so we are an amphibious assault vehicle, and so when we got to Iraq in 2005, IEDs were such a huge thing. We weren't even really operating in our vehicles. We just pretty much parked them and were ground mounts the whole entire time. And so it was interesting, as a kid, you get put in this weird country that you hear about, and there's obviously a war going on, and you're a 17, 18-year-old kid, and all of a sudden one day you're just there,
What was the build up to that like? Where'd you go?
So I was fortunate enough to do 2 MUs. It's a Marine Corps Expeditionary Unit. So anywhere in the world, there's these little mini fleets of naval ships full of Marines. Tanks, helicopters, grunts, I mean, everything. They have full battalions on them. So if something pops off, those ships and the MU, you have like 3, you have a battleship, and then you have 2 smaller ships, and usually a submarine that travel all together. And not during the time of war, when it's just kind of peacetime, they're called libo floats, because you just hit different countries. I mean, you're in Singapore one day, you're in the Philippines a few days later, you're in Australia, you're in Hong Kong, you're in Dubai. I mean, guys are going to Greece and Mediterranean, because they're called med floats. And so they hit these different ports. So I was fortunate enough to do 2 of those. So we got to hit a bunch of countries on the way to Kuwait. We hit Australia. We did a bunch of training there. Australia was absolutely out of control. Singapore we were there for the New Year's, the Chinese New Year's, and that being in Singapore for that as a kid was absolutely out of control.
I bet.
Out of control. Hong Kong, I mean, that's where we were in Chinese New Year, was in Hong Kong. Fucking wild. You're a 19-year-old kid, and you just...
Give me a story. Why was it wild?
They're just letting loose 1,000 Marines in these cities, and it is the greatest party you've ever witnessed in your life. It is just pure fuckery. And, I mean, so in Hong Kong, there's this road. It's a mountain. And this road goes straight down the mountain, and there's just bars the whole entire way from top to bottom. So you get a ride to the top, and then you just...
Yeah, I'll ride. Like driving?
Cabs,
okay,
which are usually close to being killed over in foreign countries. As any cab ride, you're on the verge of death, because they're just...
Do you guys stand out like a sore thumb throughout this entire process? Yeah, bro.
You go to an Asian country and you're 6'3", 280 pounds. Yeah, you stick out like an asshole. Like, there's a picture
like
of me
a dick
actually
in a Disney movie, right?
Yeah, my buddy got a picture of me. I believe we were in Hong Kong, and there's this intersection where, like the 1,000 people all cross at once, and there was this parking structure. He was like, dude, I'm getting a picture of you standing. And there's a picture of me standing in the middle of this intersection. There's just all these little Asian people, and I'm just standing like this big fucking retard in the middle of this intersection. But someone's got a picture of that somewhere. But so yeah, man, it was cool being able to... I mean, dude, you pull into Brisbane, Australia in a naval ship, and they just turn you loose for 3 or 4 days.
How does that even happen?
It's you party like a absolute rock star. Like, I feel like I know what a true rock star feels like, especially when you go to these countries and you're a kid. You go to the ATM, you got fucking the exchange rate's pretty nice back then. Mm-hmm. So you got bank.
Yeah, you're balling.
You just party. It's literally a 4 or 5 days just rager, binger. And then you crawl back on ship, and then you're out at sea for a week, and you hit the next port. You do it all over again. It was awesome. Awesome. very blessed there. Very blessed. So, yeah, and then we hit Kuwait, splashed off the back of the ships in our vehicles, went into Kuwait, and then from Kuwait we pushed into Iraq, and we were there for a few months. Fucked around, had a lot of fun, learned a lot. We were more doing like detainees, lots of detainees then. We were searching a lot of vehicles. My first deployment, we were there for the very first election. That was like a historic thing when we were there. Was the very first, they had the very first time they can vote. And we got tasked with, we were in this little town called Hit, some people might know it by. And we had to help conduct the first election polls, and they gave us these like bottles of this ink, this brown ink, and they would sign it. They would sign their name on this little voting paper. Then we'd have to dip these people's finger in this ink. And so for like the next 3 or 4 weeks, like who voted because everybody had this black, brown looking finger. So that was like a cool thing to be able to be in Iraq, even though it's all went to shit now. But at the time, it was like, oh, cool, this is going to be part of history. And I see how that went. They kind of regress more than they evolve. But, yeah, it was fun, man. I had a lot of really good guys. A lot of just fucking downtime and screwing off. And you become really cool, really tight with your boys. What I was saying with James being in tanks and us we're like the little brother of Abrams. You get very, very personal because you're living in the back of a vehicle. It's the strip where we're sitting right here would be the whole back, and you're living with these dudes, and there's no escaping. So you get to know people really, really well when you deploy. Like you get to learn people on a very different level, personal level, and learn everything about them.
Were you nervous? Were you scared?
No, nope. We knew, we weren't sure if we were going the first time straight there, but it's weird because I was never in a unit where they're like, hey, we're going, and then the build up, and then they fly straight there. We were partying, we're in Australia just a few weeks ago. We're in these different ports, and then they tell us, they all got us together in the chow hall on the ship, and they told us, hey, we're actually going to Iraq. And that's why you joined, right? Like that was during that time. So we were kind of excited, and we didn't do much. It was a lot of patrols, a lot of security. Some guys got into some shit, but for the most part, we were just searching homes all day, every day, searching homes, up homes, down homes, upstairs, downstairs, upstairs, and just we're searching for caches. That was pretty fun. It was like an Easter egg hunt. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed it.
Are you moving through the homes tactically, like CQB or what?
No, we just straight up knock on the door and kick everybody out.
Okay.
And we would have the whole house to ourselves. You're just going through everything. And it was when I discovered how they preserve this food. This was fascinating. They have these barrels, these 50-gallon metal drums. We have to go through them all because they would hide explosives. They'd hide everything anywhere, And so we came across these 50-gallon drums, and they had the finest black sand in it. So you have to dig through these things, and you're just like, fuck me, this sucks. And we couldn't figure out, like, a lot of these houses upstairs, they all had these 50-gallon drums full of this black sand. And finally we got to a house, we're digging. Every time we found these barrels, we're like, fuck, like, shit sucks. You spend all day digging. And that's how they would preserve all of their produce. They put it in this black sand, and that sand's super cold. So as we're digging, the sand's really cold. And that was like their little mini refrigerators. You dig up fresh oranges, and we're in the middle of winter there. I'm like, where the fuck do we get oranges from? So it was nice. It would be nice when you dug up an orange, you'd pocket that shit. Oh, yeah. And you weren't eating T-rats. But yeah, it was how they preserve their food. It was fascinating.
I've never heard of that.
Yep. And so like that, and I was
you get some jacked forearms probably in the process
100%. Your shit was smoked, dude.
Yep.
So we would just dig down to the first fucking fruit. And we're like, all right, we're good. And
straight.
They can have it. Whatever's in here, they can have. And so
got mine. See ya.
It was fascinating being in a third world like that and seeing how these people live. I mean, you'd go to a home, kick in the front door or knock. A lot of times we were knocking. We weren't trying to piss people off. You're not going to win over anything by doing anything stupid like that. And so we would, you go to this like little looks like a one-room home, and you'd knock on the door or go in, how you ever had to make entry, and There'd be a whole family living in a room half the size of this with like 5 sheep in there in the corner with like a little wooden fence inside the house. And the smells were god awful. And you're just like, you're a kid like discovering this. You're like, holy shit, that's how people live. And that was just their life. They didn't know any different. It's definitely a culture shock going in different countries and seeing how people live for sure.
Did it give you a greater appreciation for what you have?
100%. 100%. That's why when we all have our moments where you bitch about stuff, but like you see people bitching about things, I'm like, bro, like you have no idea. No idea.
Mm-hmm. What was that second deployment like?
That one was completely different than the first one. We ended up being tasked to there was a string of cities along the Euphrates River, which the Euphrates is beautiful. You know, it's biblical. It's incredible how the size of it, how fast it runs. It's really fast water. And so we were operating right on the Euphrates River in the palm. We were in the palm groves all day, every day, which were fascinating because I was actually just telling the girls this the other day. They had this like aqueduct system that would flow off the Euphrates, and it goes all through the palm groves, and they're beautiful. Everything is perfectly smooth, and these irrigation ditches just weave through these palm groves, and it's so flat because, you know, they have nothing better to do besides make shit perfect. And so, yeah, these aqueducts were just these little ditches, and they were all built up, and they can shut off and feed different palm trees, and water different palm trees and different groves and stuff. So we were operating in and around those all the time. But along the Euphrates were these cities, and we called it Operation Build a Berm, where we built berms around these cities because they're on the Euphrates River, and here's the city. From one side all the way to the other side, they would build a berm around it, and then we got tasked to be the vehicle entrance in and out. Anybody leaving in and out of a car, we were the vehicle control point. So we were scanning everything, every vehicle that came into the city. We had these, we call them bat scatters, or they were like pretty much like a TSA, you know, your luggage goes through, but they were in these vans that we would fire up every day, and the cars would drive through. So we would search those, and you'd find some pretty cool shit. It was, you know, you'd have a car drive through, and you're scanning it like you would a piece of luggage. So it comes out exactly the same. You could change the colors, move it around on the computer and everything, and there'd just be like an AK in the door, or, you know, you see like weird blobs in the doors. You pop the door open, it's just American cash, like, and we'd always be like, where the fuck are they getting crisp $100 bills? It wasn't like some janky rolled up money. Like, this is brand new.
It wasn't counterfeit.
Fuck, who knows? It didn't look like it, but yeah, these dudes we found so much money in them. And then we were at the same time, when you would be checking a vehicle, we had these things. We called it the bat cave, or it was the bat system, I believe. You would scan these dudes' retinas. You had this camera, and you'd scan their retina, take their fingerprints, take their picture, and then you'd upload it in your computer. And then once every week or 2 weeks, we called it a log train, would come down from the main base, and they'd pull your hard drive in your computer, then give you an updated one. So they'd drive around and collect all these people that were scanning. And if you caught a guy doing some dumb shit or trying to like plant an ID, you know, you'd take his picture, and he goes in the system like, hey, wanted for this, or found doing this, shooting at coalition forces, you know, wanted for shooting mortars at army unit, blah, blah, blah. Like, they would gather intel, and that would go into these systems. So there would be dudes that would come through, just look like a normal Iraqi, and you'd put their finger on that thing, and like, it'd just pop right up on the screen, like red, like wanted, and it would just give you all their list. So you never knew who you were scanning. And so then, yeah, you just detain these dudes. I mean, that's all we were doing half the time. We're just detaining guys, like, wanted for being one of Saddam's like top general, blah, blah, blah. And it would give you the whole information, working with this, and this, working with this. It would have all this dude's life story.
Did you get resistance from those guys?
No, we had them immediately, because we'd have them in these little rooms. And so, yeah, if they even just piped off, I mean, it was a full-on fist fight, which it was fun. I mean, that's where for a while, dude, it was like fighting dudes every day, all day, every day. They want to go. And so, yeah, it was just one of those, every time we'd have somebody and we'd ask them questions and shit, it was a lot of like grabbing, snatching dudes up, because, dude, they've made it that long, and they don't know that all their system is, everything's in this system. So that was fun. A lot of that. A lot of patrols. I was telling a story the other night to the girls that we'd go on these ambush patrols in the palm groves because at night these guys would come out and it's where they would bury their caches were in the palm groves. And they're burying 50-gallon drums on these islands on the Euphrates full of weapons, like AKs, explosives, all that stuff. So we would go sit in the palm groves and it was fucking freezing, man. Like, it was so cold when we were in Iraq. Your water bottle would be frozen in the morning, like frozen solid. And so we would go out and sit in these like ambushes and try and catching these dudes coming through the palm grove at night because there's a curfew, and people aren't supposed to be out. And so we would sit there all night and just freeze your dick off sitting against a tree because you can't move. You're dead silent. You're all, you're MVG'd up, and I'm able to watch all my guys. Well, we had this one staff sergeant come with us, and one night one of the guys goes to move and hits his flashlight on his rifle, and it's just like lights up the palm grove. And the staff sergeant that came with us was like, "God damn it, fuck, mission's compromised. Like, pack it up." So like all this light bulbs start going off in all of our heads. We're like, "Oh shit." So it became this thing, like we would like draw straws before we'd go out if that guy was coming with us.
Who's gonna do it?
Who was gonna do it? Who's gonna get the ass chewed? And so we would like go through guys like, "Yo, you haven't done it.
It's getting fucking
You
cold.
haven't done it in a while." Yeah. So you'd be sitting there like, MVGs and everyone's sitting against palm trees, it's freezing. You'd pack your pack full of shit just to sit on your pack, and you're freezing your ass off. And so it'd be dead silent, and you just hear. And you'd be looking because I didn't want my guy to get into trouble, and your dudes would just be slumped over, sleeping against a tree. You're trying to throw shit at him, and so finally, like you'd get a guy's attention. You're looking, making sure your staff sergeant's not seeing you. Wait, go. I'm like, you pointed. Everyone's like, "Do it!" They're like trying to, because you're gonna get your ass chewed.
Sure.
So finally, someone would be like, "Ping!" Like just. Like a spotlight through the palm. Fucking Jesus, every night with you guys, every goddamn night.
Pack it up.
Pack it up. Mission's compromised. God damn it, man. Like every time. So yeah, we'd all take turns getting our asses chewed because you just get to a point where like, this is miserable. There's nobody out here. These dudes are in man dresses and flip-flops. It's 10 degrees. Like, what the fuck is somebody going to be out here for? Can't even dig. It's
Half
frozen.
the guys are sitting out here counting sheep anyways. Like,
Dude, you would straight up hear some dude just snoring in the middle. Dead silent. Just you trying to find who it is. Like, where the fuck are you? Because we all had little radios, you know. But you couldn't talk on the radio because the staff sergeant had a radio, so he could hear if you're like, "Yo, do it," So you're like all like hand and arm signals, like flicking little rocks at each other, trying to get each other's attention. It was hilarious, man. We just fucked off that deployment. I got a buddy of mine. He's actually in northern Idaho. He's in Coeur d'Alene. He's going to come down, and we're going to tell this story. But it was St. Patty's Day. We're in Iraq. And so how it worked was you had a patrol day. You had a QRF day, which is a quick reaction force. So you had to stay in your pants and boots, but you could take your blouse off, which you didn't. It was freezing. And then you had security on the house because we were just living out of a house that we took over. So that was your rotation. Patrol, QRF, which was your down day. If nobody was getting in any trouble or anything like that, you just chilled all day, or you went to the FOB, which is where the main base was just this little forward observation base out in the middle of the desert. You'd go get chow or make a laundry run, drop laundry off, pick laundry up kind of deal on your QRF day. And it's my patrol day, and then my two boys, they're on a different team. It was their QRF day, so they're off. So I get back, and then if you were on patrol day, you had to do a minimum of 3 patrols throughout the day. So it could be breakfast, lunch, dinner is what we said. And so we get back from our morning one, we get back from our afternoon one. This is why I thought I was safe, because like, okay, we won't be going back out till tonight. And my buddy's sister at the time would like hollow out these bread loaves and stuff them with like Jack Daniels bottles or Patron bottles. She was always hooking us up with shit, and then she would just mail it to us, and it would just arrive. So we had like this cachet of like good liquor, And so they're like, "Yo, it's St. Patty's Day. Like we're gonna open that bottle of Patron." It was just the 3 of us, and it's the big bottle,
It's a big loaf of bread.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it'd come in these boxes, and there's these giant loaves, and we'd pull them apart. There'd be a bottle of Jack in there, and so it's St. Patty's Day. We're in Iraq. I just finished the second patrol. I feel like we're not going out till late tonight, and I'm going to try to talk us out of it. Like that's That's the plan. So we're sitting, and in these rooms, every team had their own room, but you could build it out however you wanted. So like my buddies, we were all the senior guys, and so they had their own corner built off, and like tarps around it, so they had their own little private space from all the other Marines. So we're in there just passing this bottle of Patron, and you had this orange cola Iraq drink, tasted like shit, but you chased it with it. And we're finishing, and we're going around and around and around. And we're about like this much left in the bottle, and the door whips open. They're like, yo, where's Bam in here? And I'm behind this curtain, and I'm like, yeah, what's up? They're like, hey, your team's mounted. You guys got to roll. Ooh. And I look at my dudes, and they're all looking at me, and I'm holding this empty bottle of Patron. I'm like, we're fucked.
Blasted.
Oh, by the time I got my gear on, I could barely even climb up the hood of this Humvee. And I'm the lead gun on a 50 cal. Dude, we have to roll back. I'm up there just like puking everywhere. It was the worst experience ever. So yeah, St. Patty's Day in Iraq, that was 2006. I was fucked up, and I was kicking my driver every time he had hit something. I'm like, motherfucker, his name was Crenshaw, and I'm kicking the shit out of him, and it was just, I'm puking all over the place. It was a shit show, bro. I came back, my boys, they were tore up. I went back to my rack and just passed out. Nobody ever knew. It was horrible, dude. I thought I had the whole time off. Nope. The second we finished that shit, they called me ripping that door open. Yo, you guys got to go. And we had to go check on some farmer, and I'm fucked up. Pissed.
Was he good, though?
Yeah, we did take this dude water cases. I was like, I ain't walking nowhere. Like, fuck y'all. Y'all walk out to those rice patties and give this dude some case of water. He was giving us intel, and so we'd go and take care of these guys. That's how it worked, You'd give these people, they'd ask for anything. Pencils, pens, case of water, and they'd tell you the world, and they'd dime each other out. But yeah, that was a shitty day. I was hungover for 2 days after that one.
That's how it goes.
Yep. Yeah.
Was it hard getting out?
Out of the Marines? No. I was ready. The way it was changing just wasn't for me. It's a hard decision to walk away from the transition out of the military, but I was a little bit different, man. I looked at the Marine Corps as a 9-to-5 job. The whole time I was in. I tried to leave my uniform at work as much as I could. I'd come home in civilian clothes. I never tried to bring, especially when I started a family or, moved out. I never tried to bring the Marine Corps home. I was not one of those guys that lived, eat, breathed Marine Corps 24/7. I just wasn't me. It was just a job. I loved it.
I was the same way.
Proud,
with my career. Yeah.
I don't have any Marine Corps tattoos or anything, but that's the only Marine Corps thing really in our whole house is that sign. I have some pictures and memorabilia stuff, but I wasn't one of those guys. It was just a job for me, and so that's why I could never fall into the games. And this is how it is. Why has it got to be like this? So I was that guy that questioned everything. Mm-hmm. And so when it came time for me to get out, I knew it was time, and I wasn't enjoying it. I didn't like putting the uniform on anymore. I was an E6. I picked up staff sergeant really fast, so I had a career ahead of me. I could have stayed in and was excelling through everything. It just wasn't for me. The games and the politics, and as you stay in longer. They
call those fuck games, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I was the king of getting fucked with. So I was over it, and it was a good run for me. I did my time. I deployed twice. I made some really good friends. I was an instructor toward the end, and I got to travel the world. I was the first Marine Division Color Sergeant, which is the most decorated division in the Marine Corps. I represented, and so it was an absolute honor to be able to do that. And so I got to travel the world with that. I got to go back to historical battlefields and on the islands in the middle of the Pacific for anniversaries of storming beaches, and so I got to accomplish a lot. And then that 8 years is that really weird stage where if you're going to do more than 8, you might as well stay in. It's how it is. And so it came up. I tried to go MARSOC. I put in a package to go MARSOC, which is the Special Forces side of the Marine Corps. You got recon, and then you got MARSOC. And I got accepted to it. And I was like, fuck, okay, cool. I'm just going to go MARSOC. I'm going to get out of this job field. And my package got accepted, and I got my school date and everything. And then they came out with an order saying they're not taking any sergeants and above. no E5s and above, and I was an E6. And they came back and were like, hey, we're pulling your package. They're heavy. They had a bunch. They had too many. And so, yeah, that was kind of like that. Well, that's my sign. And so I went in and I didn't tell anybody I was getting out. Not a soul. I told my gunny because I had to. I was like, hey, I'm done. And he was like, dude, do it. If this is the time to do it. He told me if I could do it again, he's like, I would have got out after 8. And I just wasn't feeling it. I did my time, and my MOS is just a shit MOS. It doesn't even exist anymore. They actually did away with it in the Marine Corps. But yeah, it was one of those things. It felt right. It's scary because you got a guaranteed paycheck. You got full medical. I mean, it's hard to get fired unless you do something really fucking stupid. But it just wasn't for me. I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't like put on the uniform. So yeah, I made the call and I told the wife. I came home one day and I was like, hey, like I'm out. I got to get out. And she's like, what are you going to do? And I straight up told her, I was like, I'll get a job at In-N-Out flipping burgers. I don't give a fuck. I can't do this anymore. Mm-hmm. I just don't enjoy it. And I've always been one of those people, like, if you don't like it, you're just sitting there bitching about it every day, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear it. It's up to you. Quit. Change it. It's your life. It's very short. We're here a very short amount of time. Like, why are you going to live miserable? So, yeah, so I made the decision to get out, and it's the best decision I ever made. I love my Marines. I love being a Marine. Don't like the Marine Corps. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I'll always be a Marine. Can't ever take that title from any of us, but it's just the Marine Corps for me wasn't for me. I just wasn't the structure. Wasn't like, have to deal with authority. It just, I was looking at the guys that were ahead of me, and I watched their all paths. Nothing changes. It's just Groundhog's Day in the military. And it's the same dudes, just different faces every cycle. I was like, yeah, I am not on this list. I got to go. That was it.
Is there anything about your career that you regret?
Yeah, there's one, actually. I was married at the time. And my first deployment, I got attached to a recon team to do their security, which is bullshit. It's nothing cool. You're just watching out for these dudes while they sleep. And so, but I got tight with them, and they were all the recon instructors that all had to like do this deployment. So they pulled all this whole recon schoolhouse, pretty much all went on our deployment. So I became good friends with them, and they're all going back, and they're like, dude, you got to come through the indoc, do the recon indoc. So I signed up for it on ship on our way home from Iraq. I was like, cool, I'm going to do the indoc. And it was like, I want to say it was like 5 weeks or 4 weeks once we got back from deployment. So I was going to go deployment, 3 to 4 weeks off, straight into recon indoc, into the, and to start that whole process, which it takes several months. And my wife talked me out of it at the time. And she was like, if you do this, our marriage isn't going to last. And I was like, fuck. And yeah, I didn't do it, and my marriage didn't last anyway. So that's my only regret in the military, man. I was fortunate. I always volunteered for everything. I got to do some fun shit just because I was always that guy. I was either in trouble getting picked because I was an asshole, because I was always voicing my opinion. They're like, well, fuck, make Bam do it, but I'd always make the best out of it. So we'd always have so much fun doing things. So yeah, I got to do a lot of really cool stuff. And yeah, no regrets except for I should have gone recon when I had the chance. But I wouldn't be here now,
What's your take on like PTSD?
PTSD is a tricky one, man, because we really don't know how to diagnose. How do you treat for it, And so it's very tough, and everybody handles it very differently. Over the last 11 years, having a charity, it comes in all walks of life. It's a battle, man, trying to help somebody with it, and it's tough, and it's the toughest thing to try to help anybody with, because especially they sit and they get in these dark slumps, and it's just cancer, And so I feel now that a lot of guys have been out for so long, what we need to do as a veteran community to help with PTSD, personally, I feel, is that we're almost enabling now. We're becoming this country of enabling these guys. And I know it's not a lot of people are going to agree with this, but I've been in the trenches for the last over a decade with our organization. Like, I'm talking pulling guys out of some pretty dark places. I think what's happening is that the veteran community, it's becoming our identity now, because there's so much talked about. And so these vets, it's becoming our identity is, I have PTSD. I'm a disgruntled veteran. I'm a disabled veteran.
Are guys using that as like a crutch, you think?
Some 100%, and I know that others, it's not intentional, but that's all they're fed. That's all they're fed. PTSD, 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 and instead it's like that's what we're constantly focused on. And I talk to these guys, and I'm like, man, when did you get out? Oh, 2006 or 2005. But you talk to them now, and they're talking like it just happened.
That was 20 years ago, dude.
And that's what I'm saying. And everybody grieves differently, and everybody heals differently. Sure. Completely understand that. But that's all you're told, and that's all your therapists are talking about, and that's all you ever hear from the VA, and that's all you're pumped in, and that's who we become. We become this PTSD'd out, disgruntled, angry veteran that's holding on to this shit. It's like, fuck, like how do we break that cycle? And so that's where, we were really helping guys for getting, hey, like, who are you now? What do you want to start? How do we help you start new hobbies? It's not just, I go out and shoot guns. It's like, okay, cool, that's great. How do we get you out of here? Let's start something new. Let's start a biz, help you start a business. Let's help you reconnect with your kids. And that way, I'm trying to get these guys to have a new identity. We got to get out of this disgruntled, disabled veteran identity, which a lot of guys, I feel, and that doesn't help when you're sitting there thinking about it all day. That's all you're told. That's who you are. That's who you become. And I feel like as a country, we really need to start focusing on not the past and dwelling and keeping it going. And I'm not saying not talk about it. I'm not saying not to get the help, but it's like, let's look at the future. Who do we want to be? Who do we want to become as a veteran? Yeah, it's cool. Dude, you have the title as a vet. You served your country. Fucking not a lot of people have. Hold on to it. Be prideful, but like, let's start discovering who we can be and change ourselves and just kind of grow. And so PTSD is a tough one, man. You got guys that I've dealt with, and the worst ones have 0 scars on them. Survivor's remorse or survivor's guilt, watching buddies die or holding a dude while they die. Like, the guy's got to live with that shit. And I get it. It's not easy to get over, but when that's all you're fed and that's all you talk about, that's the world you live in. I'm not saying forget it, but we got to start looking at something different because the fucking statistics aren't changing. Nobody's talking about it. 22 vets a day, which I think is a bullshit number, but if it's 22 vets a day and we've been talking about 22 vets a day for fucking 20 years.
What are we doing?
I'm not trying to call it out, but what the fuck is going on? There's thousands of veteran charities out there.
How do you break the cycle?
Thinking outside of the box like that. I feel like instead of, oh, you're a disabled veteran, tell me, oh, you got PTSD. Like, fuck, okay, cool, dude, yeah, like, it's been 15 years. What's now? What's next? Like, I just had a very good buddy of mine. He's a triple amputee. He's not this wounded little fragile thing anymore. He's a father now. Fucking crushing life. Got his degree. Like, that's who he is now. It's not this triple amputee, woe is me dude. He's a completely different guy now because he started a new chapter. That's what we got to do. We got to get these guys starting new chapters. We got to start getting something going new with them. And that's spark, getting them out of the house, getting them into new hobbies and things like teaching them things. That's what, we focus on so much with teaching them new skills. I would, if, I got some guy that's struggling, I'd rather him be known as the dude that's making badass. This is made by a vet. Like, this guy, I'm sure he's more proud that people know him as being a carpenter and being able to build incredible pieces of furniture. I would rather be known as that than some disabled vet down the street. But that's the world we live in. You're like, that's what we're focused on. That's what we're at. It's just nonstop. And so we got to be able to start new chapters and get out of the mindset. I think it is.
It's a cycle because a lot of those guys, the Marine Corps for you wasn't your identity. That was your job. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, for some guys, it is their identity, right? We talked about it yesterday with being a cop.
Yeah.
That's some guys' life. Like, fucking, I'm the guy, right?
Yeah.
I got a badge in my wallet. Okay? Well, then they go through the Marine Corps or whatever it is, and then some shit happens. Well, now their identity is, I got PTSD. And then it's just a vicious cycle that they can't break. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm not really a Marine anymore, active, but, like, now I'm a wounded veteran, and that's my thing. Or now I have PTSD, and that's my thing.
It becomes the Letterman jacket, and
that's a great way of putting it.
Standing down at the bar, like, talking about catching some. Oh, in high school, it's like, when did you graduate? 20 years ago? Like,
yeah.
not everybody's going to agree with it, but, like, tell me why I'm wrong. Fucking 20 years out, 22 vets a day, like, there hasn't been any increase. I'm sure it's gotten even worse.
I've never seen that number change. It's always that. I think it's the same thing for law enforcement. I don't know what the number, like, 22, like, I don't.
Yeah, cool. You did 22 push-ups. Like, help that dude start a business.
Right. Yeah, that's not doing fuck all.
No, don't do shit. So, yeah, so it's kind of like that Letterman varsity blues guy just, talking to still his war stories from high school football. And I'm not saying overlooking it and making light of it. There's guys who've been through some shit. Like, in comparison to me, I haven't done a goddamn thing compared to some of these dudes on the wall behind me,
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I'm not saying to make light of it, but when do you become you, not a disabled veteran that the VA just pumps full of pills all day?
Yeah.
So how do you deal with PTSD when these guys are just, it's the same shit every day?
Yeah. Interesting.
So, that's how I am, but it's just I look at things in a different perspective, man. I've been in the trenches with these guys for 11 years, pulling dudes out of Walter Reed that still have incisions that aren't healed up, stitches still getting pulled out in the middle of wishes trips. We're fucking removing a dude's stitches, shit like that. So I've been in the trenches with these dudes, and I've watched a lot of them evolve. And the ones that are doing the best, the greatest dudes that's been part of our charity from the beginning, his name's Dom. You ask him, he had just went to his firefighting graduation, just graduated Fire Academy. He's starting that new chapter. He worked with us for the last 10 years of our organization. He's been a volunteer. He's been a rep. He's been by my side for a huge chunk of it. He's not Wishes Dom anymore. He's got a daughter now. He's got a wife. Just graduated Fire Academy. Like, that's the evolution of these veterans and what we need to be.
What's next?
Getting them into. What's next? You talk to him now. He deployed with 2-8. He's lost his leg. Dude's sacrificed, but now he's a firefighter, man. It's great. I love watching that. Yeah. That's what the community needs to be doing. You retire, cool, dude. Start a little side hustle. Fucking come up with a brand. Start slinging it out of your garage. Do anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to be focusing these guys on and getting their head out of you're just a vet and go to the VA and they pump you full of pills and you're disabled. Oh, here you go. A little pat on the head. Like, thanks for your service.
Right.
It's weird. That's how, at least that's from my angle of dealing with these guys. I've seen the ones that are doing the best. They've started new chapters. I'm not saying you're not going to pull back and have dark times and go through it, but fuck, let's fall ahead and let's keep going.
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming you didn't go flip burgers in and out once you left.
No.
Okay. What'd that look like after?
I went straight to Afghan on a private contract. So I went to the embassy. I got on a company there. Then we changed over to a new company. I did personal security in Afghan. That was a wild ride. Some of the worst living conditions I've ever been in my life. I lost 20 pounds in like 15 days with dysentery.
In and out probably didn't sound too bad at that point.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
No. And so we all got sick. Like, everyone was sick from dealing with these dirty Afghan motherfuckers that were wiping their ass with their hand and then chopping up our vegetables and fruit and shit. So everyone was sick. We had horrible living conditions. We were living with these I don't want to call them. They're Gurkhas. And if anybody knows the history of a Gurkha, they are these very prideful warriors that guard like the Queen of England, like her top security are Gurkhas, these Nepalese warriors, right? So we get told that, hey man, you guys are going to be pretty much working with like these Nepalese warriors and they have thousands of years of tradition and all this crazy shit. And we show up and fuck, boy, was that farthest from the truth. These were like farmers that they gathered. Dudes didn't even know how to hold a fucking knife. And here we are, got busloads of these dudes that we're working with. We got to live with them. The living conditions were horrible. I mean, you got to think when you come from the U.S., we're so pampered here with our water and food and parasites and bacteria and everything else that we're very pampered. Then when you get thrown into a compound living with hundreds of third world military people with their third world hygiene skills, people get sick really quick. And these dudes would just be busting shower babies all over the place, blowing. You're in the bathroom sharing with these dudes, and they're just blowing snot all over the place. Everything was covered in green snot. It was fucking horrible. And so everyone got sick for a while. I was calling the wife, like, begging for her.
You said busting shower babies. I've
Dude,
never heard of that.
fucking heinous, bro. It's gross. This is true, dude. This is all true. I'll have guys on here that I was over there with. So, yeah, so it was, the living conditions were absolutely subpar, but it was fun, man. Like, I had such a good group of dudes, and, yeah, so we would do these mobile security for these Gurkhas and shit, and God, bro, Afghan was crazy being on a contract because you don't have, like, military backing. There'd be days we just be in Land Cruisers driving around, like, from base to base or doing a route recon or something, and you get stuck in traffic. Dudes are just walking up to your car, taking pictures of you and shit, and that's when Hillary was in charge. And so the saying was, what Hillary wants, Hillary gets, and, dude, it was wild. Like, if we were going to leave the compound and it wasn't, like, official diplomatic duties, they didn't even want us taking firearms with us, but, like, they want us rolling around downtown Kabul through Masood Circle without even being armed. So, yeah, we would, like, have to sneak guys. We'd all put, like, our pistols or Glocks or whatever in, like, a little duffel bag, and whoever was checking the vehicle out would stuff it under a seat, and then I'd go check out, and they'd watch all of us get in and leave the gate because they didn't want us rolling out with rifles or anything. And we'd be assembling guns from underneath the seats because we have to drive down the street to go check on another base. And yes, we had to, like, sneak being armed because we were rolling around the streets of Afghan, and Hillary didn't want us armed because it wasn't official diplomatic duties. I mean, dude, our snipers had to
That makes sense, right? Yeah.
Dude, our snipers had to take their scopes off. If they left the embassy, they had to take their scopes off. And they were like, oh, just mark them with paint pens so you could put them back on every time. And so our snipers would just be fucking sleeping. They're like, dude, we're worthless. Like, our scopes, we don't even know where we're zeroed. You know, just shit like that was interesting, man. Being on a contract was different because obviously you're not military. And I learned that U.S. embassies party. Ragers, bro. At least in Afghan, these motherfuckers would throw ragers. I'm talking like passed out, drunk, falling downstairs, finding some diplomatic asshole in the bushes. Crazy. They fucking party at embassies around the world. We had this back alleyway that you'd go out of the back of the main U.S. embassy, and there's all these little embassies, and there's an alley. Dude, you'd be on post, or I'd be like talking to my boys that was working that little back shack one night, and they'd be throwing a fucking rager. I'm talking like DJs, fucking lights coming from the back walls of the embassy. Like, I'm sure these Afghans were like, what the hell is going on over there? And they'd throw these parties, and these chicks would come through just wasted, and they'd come out the back. We'd be like, ma'am, like, I probably wouldn't recommend walking down this alley full of Afghani soldiers that aren't vetted by us or police that are just random dudes. We're good. We're going to the fucking Brazil embassy. They'd all just fucking stumble down this alleyways and stuff, and they had no idea. No idea. They're so complacent, man. My buddy, he was a canine guy when I was there, and he'd be working one of the gates, and I'd go bullshit with him. He had this pit bull, man. It was the most beautiful pit bull.
You've heard this one? Yeah.
Have I told this on the story, on the podcast?
I don't think so.
Dude.
I love this story.
He had this pit bull. I have a picture with this pit bull, and fucking dude, it was the coolest dog you've ever met in your life. Just this giant-headed, massive pit bull. It was a service dog over there. It was a bomb dog. So I'd always go bullshit with him, and dude, one night we're sitting there bullshitting, and this white chick, blonde hair, in like these little shorts and a fucking running vest with her little ID and iPod, comes running up to the front gate, and we're like, where the fuck are you coming from? She's like, like hits her little watch and like gives us our ID, and we're sitting here like, you're gonna end up on Al Jazeera television getting your throat slit by a fucking child with a rusty spoon. Like, what are
Dog,
just
you gotta get those miles in, son.
Clueless, bro. Clueless of what's going on. But anyways, dude, the night that this dog, we're there fucking around one night, and we had these big gates, and you pull them down with these ropes, and like the pole, the big poles that come across. We'd shut the embassy down at night and lock everything up. And we're there one night, and I'm fucking around with this dog, and they're thick ropes, so this pit bull's just yanking, and I'm just having fun with it. And bro, I start lifting the gate up, and the dog was like the perfect counterbalance. Well, I pushed a little hard, and this fucking pit bull locks onto this rope and these gates are like 20-foot poles, so it's tied to the end, and this pit bull just goes like 15, 20, and it's doing like the lock. Do you know how they like lock their legs, and it's spinning in circles, and they got it all on camera. The whole embassy's watching this fucking pit bull at the front gate hanging like 15 feet in the air, and I'm dying so hard. Like I'm trying to like get ready to catch this dog, and my buddy's like, "Get my fucking dog down, dude!" And like I had to pull this. That pit bull did not let go the whole entire time. It was it was one of the funniest moments over there. But the dog's name was Blue. I wish I could have brought it home, but yeah, it was just, I mean, typical just fucking off shit over there. And yeah, it was interesting. I mean, once we got over being sick, it ended up not being a bad gig for a while. Then I ended up getting fired from that job. I ended up getting a fight with my boss, and that's the only job I've ever been fired from. Yeah, so I texted the wife. I'm like, pick me up in San Diego in 20 hours. I'm on my way. So yeah, and then I came home from that, and it's been off to the races ever since.
Was that a legit fight?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a good one.
This wasn't a verbal thing then?
It was verbal for a while until
it wasn't.
Yeah, until it was a fist fight. But guy was a fuck, man. His name was Peck. He'll never forget.
Of course it was.
Little Asian fuck.
Yeah, of course it was.
Hated this dude. He wasn't even on our team or anything, and he was actually in the class ahead of us. And we'd always hear him screaming at his guys. And, like, we had a real chill team. Like, we're all like, yo, that guy's crazy. And when we flew, we landed, and you fly to Dubai, and then you just get on a commercial flight from Dubai to Afghan to Kabul. Like, you're landing. This isn't no military shit. You're landing. It's like landing at San Diego airport. You're like, well, we're here, and, like, we're Americans. I have no gun, nothing. Like, here we are. And
sitting there with your dick in your hand.
100%.
Yeah.
And so you don't know what's going on, and you don't even have cell phone service, like who's picking us up, anything like that. We're trying to get everything figured out. We hear this dude screaming, this American screaming, and like all these Afghanis are all like facing one way. And we finally get our luggage, and we're walking through. It's me and like 4 or 5 of my teammates at the time, and we're like, oh, it's that dude. That's that dude again. And he's screaming over his luggage, like knife handing straight Marine Corps drill instructor, knife handing these Afghani airport workers. And we're like, yo, fuck this dude, let's go. Like, he's on his own, like I don't know him. But like, dude, you're walking through, and these dudes are just walking up, taking your picture, and like they're looking at you. If you're a cop, like, I'm sure you dealt with some gangbangers that look at you like they will, if they had the chance, they're 100% killing you. They're gonna try. Mm-hmm. That's how everybody's looking at us, and you're like, oh my God, I have nothing. I don't even have my body armor. Like, I'm in like a polo button up. You can hear this dude screaming. So we finally make contact, and we get all loaded up, and we get out of there. This dude ends up being my boss. So I was a supervisor. He's like supervisors of supervisors. And I thought he was cool. Like, he was a Marine, so I made fun of him one day, right? Like, talk some shit. Dude gets fucking crazy because I embarrassed him, apparently, in front of people. And we're all bullshitting one morning. We're getting ready to load up, and he's like pacing back and forth. My boy's like, yo, dude, look at Pex. Like, you pissed him off. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I look, and he's like, and he's a stocky little, built like a fire hydrant. And I'm like pointing, laughing at him. Like, why are you mad, bro? Like, chill out. Like, same team, And finally, I look back at him and smile again, and he freaking loses it, comes over and grabs me and throws me against one of the trucks. And he's like, you motherfucker, like, I'll fucking kill you. And I'm like, yo, I thought he was playing, Like, I thought he was just messing with me. I was like, why are we mad?
Yeah.
You're mad, this mad? So it kind of gets broken up. And I told him, I was like, you put your hands on me again, it's going to be different. I thought you were fucking with me, And months later, man, yeah, he ended up talking some shit. And to get into the embassy, so we pull up in a vehicle, and my guys had to start at a certain point, and his guys were done because he ended up getting kicked off of our team, moved to day shifts. I went to nights. So when you come in with our vehicles, his guys were staged ready to go, but then my guys had to walk to the other side of the embassy. So I kind of parked it was an even walk for everybody. His guys walked like 150 yards, my guys walked whatever. I thought it was fair. Some people didn't. And he's like, you motherfucker, pull over here, you fucking retard, like cussing me out. And I look at him, and I hold the keys, and I just like drop them, and I'm like, like, fuck, talk to me like that, fuck you, I don't give a shit, I'm a grown-ass man. And so he's just going, and just, you piece of shit, like just chirping. I'm like, whatever, dude, like, I don't got to deal with him. He's leaving, he's going back to the house. Well, to get into the next perimeter inside the embassy, you have to get buzzed in these giant, like almost like a prison door, in a way I would imagine. I could see him walking up behind me. Well, the dudes are doing their changeover on the inside, so they're not paying attention to me. So I'm like stuck. I couldn't get let in to get away from this dude. And he comes up behind me, and I turn around, and this dude just fucking drills me. And so I'm full kitted out. Like we wove our slings into, and we had quick disconnects because we were running like little minis.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was like a 1 point or?
Yeah, 1 point sling. And so I had that woven in, and I still had my rifle connected to it because I'm just got out of our vehicle. And when I turn around, he hits me, and he grabs my sling and like leg sweeps me to the ground. And dude, when I fell, I was full kit. He had nothing on. He had just his clothes on. So when I fall, I grab my rifle like instinctively, I guess, and I put one hand down and do my wrist just buckles, and I hit the ground. And when I rolled over, and he was like coming down, and so I just grabbed him and rolled on top of him. So now I had all the advantage, and dude, I just put my hand on his side of his head, and I just went to town on him. And then my guys surrounded us and wouldn't let his guys break it up because my whole team hated him because he got kicked off of our team. So I beat the fuck out of this dude, and they're dragging me in. I'm hitting them, and so yeah, dude, they put me under investigation, and they're like, "You gotta go home.
That's all she wrote.
You fought on U.S. soil," and I'm like, "Pull the fucking camera footage." They're like, "The cameras aren't working." I'm like, "This guy started everything." So yeah, I ended up getting let go from that, and it kind of sucked, but at the same time, I was ready. It was horrible living conditions, but yeah, it was cool working at the embassy. You get to see all the history and get to learn everything about downtown Afghan and what a shithole it is. You want to talk about a perspective? It was way worse than Iraq.
Yeah.
Watching how those people live, just digging through sludge all day, every day, and the smell and the air quality there, it's horrible. And it sucks because it's such like, it could be such beautiful country. We'd always look at the mountains and be like, God damn, dude, we get fucking bored for days. Like, if they open a couple of resorts over there, big mountains, deep snow. It's like they could have snowboard for days.
I'm glad you told that story because, in my opinion, I've only known you for a couple days now. You can rub people the wrong way pretty easily,
fuck.
Can't you?
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah, me too.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck either, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, how you deal with that? Fuck
I
them?
don't give a fuck. They're not paying me. They're not supporting me. I don't give a shit. My wife hates it because she's like, this guy, that. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Fuck that dude. What's he going to do for me? That's not the right attitude to always have, but it's just like, dude, I worry about my family. I worry about my business. If I have employees, I want to make sure everybody in my life is taken care of. If somebody doesn't like me, I don't give a fuck. Like, truly, you can come up and trash me all you want. I don't give a fuck. Unless it's somebody that really personally knows me, I'm like, okay, like, I'll listen to it. But yeah, just me being an asshole, it doesn't bother me. It's not even that I'm an asshole. I'm just great. It's black or white. That's how it is.
Have you always been like that?
Majority, yeah.
Where'd that come from?
I don't know.
Because a lot of people want to not care as much about their like how people perceive them. A lot of people do. How do you just like let that roll off your back? How do you just not quote unquote care? Where'd that come from?
Honestly, man, it's like they're not going to affect me. I'm not going to listen. If I'm not going to take advice from them or give advice to them, why am I going to listen to anything they have to say? And that's why I said if they truly know me, yeah, I care, 100%. If a boy comes to me and there's problems and we're man enough to hash it out, fuck, dude, that's how it is, and that's how it should be. I don't sugarcoat. I'm gonna voice my opinion, and I just always felt like, man, like I would watch people talk shit, and especially you're in the hunting industry, and I see these people they'll trash a company, but then they'll take that paycheck from them and promote them
Every time.
And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? That's the most sellout bitch ass shit I've ever seen in my life.
Every time, dude.
And then or they'll trash a company, and then their boys with them, and you see them posting a little selfie just for clout. I don't want people in my life like that. If you have a problem with me, like, cool, dude. Like, I've had falling out with buddies, and if there's a problem, we can talk it out. I'm all about it. I'm not trying to be a tough guy, but like, if you got that much problem, we can escalate whatever you want. But like, let's just sit down and hash it out. You got a problem? Why do you have a problem? How did I offend? Did I say something to piss you off? Probably. That's who I am. So yeah, if they're not involved in my life, it just never really bothered me. So I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? I don't care. I'm happy, man. I got 2 incredible kids. I got a roof over my head. I got I'm married to my best friend. Like, I don't give a fuck what anybody has to say about me. That's just, I don't know, man. I just It just doesn't, I don't, and it's weird to me that people get so affected, like, by it. It's like, why? Who the hell is this person? Yeah. It doesn't matter. No matter what you do, maybe it's having a charity and all these years, like, no matter what you do, somebody's always going to have something negative to say. It doesn't matter. If you're out saving children in Africa, oh, you're just taking a picture with them just because. Well, we have starving kids here in the U.S. It's like, fucking A, we do. I'm one of those people. Like, why are we helping people when we have kids here,
Agreed.
No matter what you do, oh, you're just doing this for your own clout. You're doing this just to help out and get kickbacks. And it's like, no matter what you do, you could be saving unicorns. Someone's going to talk shit. It's just how it is.
Yeah. It's so obvious too, man. Like I invited you on my pod months ago, and then you're like, hey, let's just jump on a call really quick. We talk, 15 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, this dude's just like me. I appreciate that. Like, just fucking, here it is, man. I'm Bam. This is what I'm about. This is what I stand on. Take that shit or leave it. I'm cool either way. I got my wife. I got my kids. I got my companies. We're doing just fine. Mm-hmm. This is me.
And if more people were like that, man, then then you know where they stand. You know their values. I don't have to pussyfoot around. I'm never going to go somewhere or be involved around people that I can't be myself. Like, what is the point of that? If I have to act different around people, granted, business-wise, if we're dealing with other people, yeah, I'm not going to come in and just, I don't give a fuck who you are. Like, even still then, I really don't. But it's just, unless they're straight just involved with me, and I don't take offense to it. You can post anything online, man, and somebody's going to have something negative to say about it.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing, right? They're only seeing what you want them to see.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Just a small percentage.
Small percentage. And it, people could put their whole lives out there. Cool. It's like, if this went away right now, it's not going to affect my life. If our charity goes away right now, it's not going to affect my life. Like, we're cruising. I enjoy it. Life's going to go on no matter what. I'm going to love being a dad, and I'm going to love everything I have involved with my kids. And if you got a problem with it, like, oh, well, I'm sorry. Like, yeah, my wife asks me all the time. She's like, you just don't give a fuck? The person's miserable. They're in a dark time. Like, we'll never see them. I don't even know they exist until now. Mm-hmm.
It's an energy thing, man.
Sucks it from you. It's cancer if you let it get to you. And it's hard. I'm sure it's hard for people. I don't know why. I'm never... But if, obviously, like I said, if it's somebody that I know and they're personal and they want to say something, cool, I'd like to know. I want to know where you stand. But yeah, that's how I've just always been so black or white, because that way I watch so many fake people, and to me, like, you can't trust that type of shit. I want real people around my life involved with me. If you're going to be one way with somebody and act different to another, like, I don't need that in my life.
Dude, I can talk to somebody for less than 5 minutes
mm-hmm.
and know automatically if it's going to be something or not.
Mm-hmm.
Are you the same way?
Mm-hmm. My wife, she's like, you were blessed with the sign of discernment. I'll meet people and be like, nope, don't want nothing to do with that dude. It might be years later something will come out about him. When we get done with this, ask her about it. I call it. She loves it. There's people that have tried to work with me before.
And those people are probably all about you, too. They're like, fucking Bam's the man. Like, I want to do business with him, or I want to get to know him and his family, whatever it might be. And you're like, nah.
There's a guy that's been in my life for years, and I've never let him in. There's something I don't trust about him, and it always comes out. Always comes out. My wife, oh my God, you said this. I'm always the asshole, because I'll call somebody out on some shit, and everyone's like, oh no, you're just this. It all comes out.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I just, if I don't feel it, I'm not going to put energy into it. Dude, you only have so much.
Is that a gut feeling?
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I'm at a just different point in my life where I'm not judging people, but I want to know who you are, who your character is. And if you're just, I don't know, if you're not about it where I'm at in my life, I don't know, can't like do business or whatever, but yeah, as far as letting you in and being friends, people got to listen to that. That's where it took me a little bit to start listening to it. I'd feel it, but then, oh man, he's funny, man, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be a great time. And you're like, fuck, I knew it the whole time. I knew it. If you're telling yourself, I knew it, you should have listened to it. So once you get burned enough and you're like, let's slow down on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Listen.
I see that in my life literally every day, dude.
Mm-hmm.
every single day, and it's coming up more and more and more and more. Right? Like I'm 9 years younger than you.
Yeah.
I'm sure it came up a lot when you were early 30s, and probably still even now. But with my life, it's daily. Like, is that a person that I want to let in or no?
Yeah.
And I know pretty much immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And a lot of people lead with their heart, and I feel like that's okay. But if something feels off, that's your gut, and you gotta listen to that.
Yeah, you do. And it'll change your life, man. When you start really, it was a few years ago where I hunkered down. I was like, okay, what does this person provide to me? Is it just pure comedy and cool? Or were we just hunting buddies? Can I see myself doing business with this person? Somebody that I trust around my family. And once I started really looking, okay, what do they provide for me? Is it every time they come over, I have to give something? And I started breaking it down, man, and just started winging people out. If they weren't helping me business-wise, grow business, spiritually, mentally, like I literally just sat there and started going through a list of dudes. And it was just like, fuck, every time it's drama with this guy. Something happens every time. And something happens, and there's always something. And I started winging people out, man, and shrinking my circle, and life has gotten incredible. I don't get pulled into drama.
Was that difficult at the time?
It was for my wife, watching me weed people out. They've been in my life 7, 8, 9 years. I'm like, what does he provide? What does he provide? Why do I need to have everything that's going on in his life involved in my life? I don't. And so I started clearing the list, and there were some dudes that I circled back on years later, and we amended things, like, talked it out, and we're cool again. And it's nice to be able to do that man to man and be mature enough to be able to have that conversation. But yeah, I really sat down and I went through my list, and my wife's like, "You sure?" Like, I'm like, it's just there. It's just there. It doesn't provide anything. And so yeah, in life, you'll see how much drama, depending on whatever scale it is, but like you're always involved in other people's shit. And then the other people started asking you, and it was like I'd catch myself in the middle of wars. I'm like, well, I don't even know either one of these people. How'd I get dragged into this? Mm-hmm. So yeah, once I shrunk my circle, man, life has gotten so much. I don't deal with it. I don't get the calls. I don't have to hear it. It's just gossip. And when you cut all that shit out, man, you see how much greater life gets.
Yeah. I don't know why it's reminded me of this, but I've had people before in my life that at one point I was close with, whatever it is, and they'd come to me for advice. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm in this situation. You help me out. Like, what do you think? Mm-hmm. Well, Joe, let's use Joe. Joe, if I were you, like, this is what I would do. Take that or leave it, bro. Mm-hmm. Guess what Joe did? And this Joe's made up, but guess what Joe did?
Complete opposite.
Every time. And then Joe would hit me 2 months, still in the same situation. Yo, man, like, this, that, and the third. If you were me, what would you do? Joe, if I was you, like, this is what I would do. Like, the same thing I told you 2 months ago is what I'd do. He never fucking does it. It's like, dude, if I'll give you advice because you're my boy, but if you're never going to take a lick of it, the fuck are we doing? I don't have time for that, bro.
No one ever will.
I have no time for that.
Nope.
They're looking for a set answer, and if they don't get it,
they know the answer already.
They know the answer. That's the thing, dude.
Yeah.
They know the answer already.
If people reach out, there's some young kid and wanting advice and joining the military, or, hey, I'm looking to get into hunting. Oh, I love helping those types of people. Sure. But personal relationship advice, financial advice, business advice, very seldom. Very seldom do I. You're spinning your wheels. Now, if it's a true friend and you know who he is, he's a go-getter, like, hey, dude, I'm looking at doing this. Like, how did this happen? Do you got a connection? Oh, fuck yeah, bro. Here you go. Like, however I can help to ease your pain, but I know they're on that path, I'll give you the keys to the castle. Yeah. But like, man, got this chick. I don't fucking want to hear it. I don't fucking want to hear it. I don't know. If you're already coming to me with this, there's your red flag. If we're having this conversation, there's your red flag. Yeah. Get rid of it.
And then I always put those guys in the category, right? They're the dreamers. They're the talkers. They're the wishers. They don't do shit ever. Nothing. Hey, let's start a podcast, right? Like, blah, 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 blah. Hey, like, I'm going to move here. And, hey, I want to start this business. And, hey, I got these connections lined up. All right.
Do it.
Make it happen.
Do it. Make the fucking phone call. Get online and file everything you need to file. LegalZoom. They'll do it all for you. Jesus Christ, like, I'm an absolute idiot, and I'll figure it out. If I'm doing it, and don't come to me with this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I got an incredible wife. She has gotten me through everything, but gotta figure it out, man.
Dude, I have a client who's a really good kid, like super good kid. He comes to me for, not just fitness and all this other bullshit, but actual like life advice.
Yeah.
And he's been wanting. I know he's gonna listen to this for sure. He's been coming to me periodically throughout the week, like, hey, I kind of want to get involved in the industry a little bit. I'm like, find your niche, man. Like, start a podcast, do a YouTube, like, whatever it is, like, find your niche. Then a couple of weeks go by and he hits me. He's like, hey, ran this idea around, like, to me. I was like, I've never seen anybody do this. I think that's great. Go for it. Like, I think that's great. Go for it. You need to buy a camera, buy some wireless mics, and go for it. So now this individual has his idea, knows what he needs in order to somewhat start this idea. We're going to see if he does it or not.
Yep.
Is he a dreamer? Is he a wisher?
You'll find out.
Is he a hoper? Is he a doer? Or does he just talk?
Yeah.
We're going to see. Because his idea is great. I was like, dude, I don't see anybody doing this.
Yeah.
I think you should go for it. I think you should go for it, dude. So we're going to see. And I know he'll listen to this. And hopefully he's already in the process of ordering the stuff and thinking about what it looks like for him and how he's going to make the first video or whatever it is.
None of that matters. Just
None of it.
fucking do it.
That's it.
Nobody cares. I was so worried for the longest time, and it had to be perfect and this and that. Dude, no one gives a shit. No one cares. Once you realize, like, people, they're going to support you or they're not. And then as you evolve, people get to watch that evolution of growth, and people like that. They enjoy it. A lot of people don't. Your haters and friends will notice it. And so, but like, that's part of the journey, and that's what makes it so much cooler when you make it and you get there and you get to look back. Like we talked about it yesterday. Like, God, our first episode we did here on our own, we're like, oh my God, it's we want to do it over again.
Cringe, right?
It's fuck yeah. Sorry, kids. I don't mean to say it's cringe, but it's night and day from what this is going to look like, and then 20 podcasts from now, it's going to look even better. And so you just have to just do it, man. And it's so much fun doing it and figuring it out and going through the struggles, failing. I mean, dude, I failed at this. Wild Chaos isn't what it started out. We've shifted gears and rebranded and restructured. Everything started from scratch, from zero over again.
Nobody cares.
No one gives a fuck.
And Christy, this will help you. Because I was about her age when I realized this. And I was in high school, 16, and we'd have to get up in front of the class and speak, right? Like, give your presentation on XYZ, whatever it was, 10, 15 minutes, whatever. Okay. All eyes are on you, dude. You're at the front of the room. When I wasn't in the front of the room, and I'm sitting at my desk, and somebody's giving their presentation, I know what I was doing. I was looking up at the clock, not giving a fuck about what they were talking about, trying not to fall asleep. I wasn't even listening to them. So I was like, well, if I get up there and I got to give my presentation, no one's even going to fucking listen to me. No one cares what I'm talking about. These kids don't care or anything. So that's why I ended up getting good at public speaking. Because I was like, dude, it's just me. Just get up here and do your thing. Nobody's listening. Nobody cares. Just do your thing. There's no need to be nervous. There's no reason to be nervous.
They're just as nervous.
They're just as nervous. They're just as nervous, and they ain't listening to half the shit you're saying anyways. Go up there, put your time in, and move on. And I figured that out at an early age. Like, my wife used to struggle a little bit with, like, presentations at work and shit. I'm like, Morgan, first of all, it's a Zoom call. Second of all, these fuckers don't even have their screens on. They're on IG. They ain't listening to you.
If they ain't looking at the camera, this black screen, they're scrolling. That's me every time.
Every time.
I'm like,
right?
Isn't that right? I'm like,
right?
Fuck yeah, yep, roger that. Like, nobody's paying attention to shit anymore.
Yep. And that's, like, I figured it out so early. I got up there and just crushed. Like, get up there, prepared, be comfortable, know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But no one gives a fuck. And that's the same thing that we're talking about, right? With a business or with a podcast or whatever it is that you want to get into, nobody cares.
Just do it.
Just go for it.
Just do it. And then you start collecting support along the way. And then it's cool, especially when you start picking up just these new audiences that people don't know who you are, and they're just following you because they support what that's about,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what feels cool. And that's what feels really like to be able to look at them and be like, God, dude, we've grown so much, and these aren't from me. They're not jumping over. It's just all 100% just people enjoying what we're putting out, and it shows us that it's working.
It shows that it's working, and it also shows authenticity, like we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
because people can sniff that out right away. It's refreshing to them.
Yeah.
They also know when you're bullshitting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's really not how Bam talks. That's not him. Like,
That's been my hardest part. That's why I've never really done sponsors and like on my personal stuff over all the years. Like I've worked with some really cool companies and brands and just been more of like as a friendship. I've never taken money, never gone that path just because I've had such a hard time like promoting. I've had companies reach out, "Hey, dude, we want to sponsor you. This is the deal," and I'm like, I don't use your shit. Oh, that's okay. We don't care if you do or not. Oh,
that's not what it's about.
I don't give a fuck. I do not care. Like if I don't support it, because at the end of the day, that's a big thing of mine. Like that's one of my biggest problems with any industry, but me obviously being consumed with the outdoor industry is sponsorships, man. I know these people. I know the industry and I know the celebrities in it, and the majority of them are not using, supporting, believe in anything that they're pushing. And it's like here I am, bust my ass for everything that I work for. I'm gonna tell you, some blue collar kid that's just got out of college and going through and fucking finally got a job on the oil field, or he's a welder busting his ass every day, and I'm gonna tell him to buy some shit product because I'm getting paid to tell it to you, and I don't even believe in it. Like that's straight up lying to people. Like that's theft. That's how I look at it. Like you're an asshole to say that you're going to sit here and take this supplement because it's the greatest supplement you've ever had in your life, but you're not even taking it. And now this kid that just busted his ass all week and supporting his brand new fiance and a little baby or whatever his situation is going to go buy it because he supports you. I've always had a problem with that. That's been my biggest issue. Biggest issue.
When I get approached by those people, I'm like, okay, cool. Send me some shit. Send it all. I'm going to use it for an extended period of time. I'm going to drink it. I'm going to eat it, whatever it might be. But I'm just letting you know if I think it's trash, I'm going to tell you it's trash.
And how many of them don't send you it?
A lot.
Yeah, that's how I've always been. I'm like, yeah, send me it. If it works, cool. I'll promote it all day. If it's especially young brands.
Yeah.
If it's something badass, I'll throw it. I'm all yours. I'll be your spokesman. If it's a badass product and you're young and growing, that's why I want to give veterans and law enforcement opportunities to just send me shit to give the guests.
Yep.
So I love helping anybody along the way because it's a grind. You know, it's if somebody's truly doing it and they need help, cool. I have no problem supporting it. But it's these hunting celebrities and they're just taking a paycheck and telling you to buy some shit. It's like, man. I know people that hunt when sponsored by certain ammo companies, and they swap out all the bullets in these boxes so they can have their fucking logo all over the place. And they're not even shooting the same brand. And I'm like,
wild?
You know, that's the truth. That's the behind the scenes. That's the behind the scenes that I never could get behind. Like
you got a laundry list of people to stay away from in that industry?
All of them except for a couple.
Will you share it after?
Yeah, I'd say Jana Waller. Jana Waller's probably...
we're gonna drop names?
Yeah, I'll drop her name all day. Jana Waller's probably one of the most real legit people in the whole entire industry out of everybody.
Okay.
She's who she is on and off camera. She is one of the most genuine... That's it. However it is. Like, she's a stud. I've known her for a long time. I filmed I don't know how many episodes.
What does she do?
Skullbound TV.
Okay.
She's on she's on... What's those streaming platforms now? She was on Sportsman's Channel for years.
Okay.
So yeah, she's that's somebody that when she does because we've done a lot of veteran hunts with her. She truly cares. She truly cares about giving back to the vets. She's as real as they come, and I've been around them all. I've guided big celebrities in the industry.
Yeah, give me some good ones, and then we won't name drop the bad ones. You can just tell me after we cut these.
There's not many good ones, man.
Really?
No. That's the shitty part. You know how they say, like, don't ever meet your celebrity or don't ever meet your hero?
Yeah.
You ever heard that?
All the time.
Dude, you're around these people, they're scumbags, bro. They're wounding animals and they'll ask to shoot more just to get it on camera. Their ethics, I mean, name it. The industry is not what it is on camera. It's by far. And I know there's dudes that you really like and look up to, and they're fucking scumbags, man. I got videos of
I'm gonna tell you now, I don't look up to fucking anybody.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
I don't look up to anybody.
Idolize
These
nobody.
people put their pants on the same way that I do. They bleed like I do.
Mm-hmm.
They're fucking people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're in here, but they eventually fade the fuck out.
Yeah.
And I hate to break it to everybody, but your boy's next.
Yep.
And what you see with me is what you get. I don't look up to fucking nobody.
Good. That's I mean, that's a big life lesson even when we teach our kids. You idolize nobody. God, that's it.
Yep.
That is it. Because these people are humans, man, and they're all. I don't want to like talk down on the industry, but that's the reality of it. I've been in it for not in it anymore. I mean, I've kind of faded out of it, but that's why I never dove in and never really. It was more about giving to the vets, and everything that I built in the outdoor world was because of our organization, and obviously me hunting a lot. But yeah, man,
Some of these younger guys though are really I'm legitimate friends with some of these guys in the industry. Some younger guys with younger companies, they're good people.
Oh yeah,
which
yeah.
I think
there's a lot of good people business wise,
huge.
Company wise. I'm more talking the celebrities side of it, the influencer side of it.
Sure.
There's some incredible companies out there. Peak Refuel.
I love Peaks. Those are bomb.
Dude,
Good
Bart,
people?
I've known Bart since they launched.
Yeah.
When they had their original incredible people, man.
Okay,
Like
cool.
he's there. That is a company that I would have no problem putting my name on. Shit, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but yeah, there's a lot of really good companies out there. But there's a lot of ones that, one of these young guys and they want to be something. Just keep in mind, like you are just a number to businesses.
And don't sell your soul, dude. Don't
make as much as you can while you can, because there's going to be
sell
somebody else next year that's doing it better than you.
Yeah, don't sell your soul.
I've got to run like influencer or pro staff programs for companies that I've worked with in the industry. Not everybody's on a list for very long. Yeah. Everyone's got a shelf life. Get as much out of a company as you can. Do not kill yourself for that company. They don't care. No matter what the content is, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody does it better, you're out.
And that's what's fun about building your own thing. Like, I don't report to nobody.
Yep.
Like, if a brand comes to me, it's like, okay, like, we can maybe talk about an ad for the pod if I like your shit. But, like, if you think that I'm going to make posts and shit about your stuff, that's not what my thing is over here. I don't do that.
Yep.
This isn't about you, with all due respect. This is about my shit and what I have going on and what I'm doing for other people.
If you don't like it, this is it.
That's what it is. I don't need your money. I don't care. Now, if your product's cool and if you're a good person with good morals, that's okay. Now we can maybe talk a little bit. I got to know you. Are you just cool on camera? Are you a shitty husband? Like, what's your story? Like, I need to get to know you before we do any fucking thing.
And that helps, man. When you learn these people, you get to know them on a personal level. You're like, oh, this dude's rad. Or you're like, okay, now I know what shelf I need to put this guy on and when to reach out or not. So it's interesting. Every industry has that, every industry.
Course.
I'm not just knocking the hunting, but that's just the world that I knew. But yeah, it ain't what everybody thinks it is. That's for sure. The nitty gritty of it. It's an interesting place, and what people are doing for animals and to kill something. It's just.
That's why I'm walking this fine line, dude. Like, I know that my brand is outdoorsy, and I don't consider myself a part of the industry at all. But like, at the end of the day, I kind of am. But dude, I'm the fucking little guy. I'm not. I'm on the outskirts. Right? Like, you'll
see more success that way. I feel like, and in the hunting side, it is fun, man. It's a cool place to be, especially if you grew up. Like, it's who we are as marshals, and so. When I moved out west and started breaking my teeth in on elk, it was interesting. I didn't grow up elk hunting. I was a waterfowl kid, hunting deer and mainly ducks. But yeah, so when I came out west, and I jumped right into it, and it was fascinating. I loved it. So it's changed a lot though, as far as hunting spots and people and where you're at, and now everybody's got the technology and can get anywhere and find anything. So it's made it tough. But
did you used to hunt without Onyx?
I mean, younger days, but not elk hunting. I've always hunted with Onyx. Yeah, Onyx has saved my life, dude, a couple of times.
No kidding.
Fuck, I hate it. I absolutely hate Onyx. What it's done, but it's goddamn, it's such a good tool.
Such a good tool.
It's a love-hate. Like, I'm out there utilizing it. I know everybody else is too, but, you know, you get back somewhere and you see somebody, you're like, how the fuck did you get back here?
They got the same thing on their
same
phone,
shit,
bro.
you know, so I can't be mad about it. It's such an incredible tool. And so I know Dylan over at Onyx. I've known him for a really long time. He's a great guy, and that's another company. I don't work with them, but yeah, I've known those guys for better part of a decade. You know, I've run their stuff, so it's that's another good company. So,
can I get that Donald Trump Jr. story you alluded to yesterday?
Oh my God, yeah. So we're on this ranch in Texas, guiding these clients, and I go in, and this is a ranch that like it doesn't exist. You can't just like get a request to come here. The entry fee.
What do you mean it doesn't exist?
It doesn't exist. So like people don't. This is a ranch in the middle of nowhere, Texas, that does not exist. Type of deal. It's the caliber of people that are coming in are so just the entry fee, your annual due to get the gate combo, your own locker, you get to shoot a couple of hammer deer, some exotics, some pigs or whatever. I think the entry just to get the gate combo is $250K a year.
That's it?
Just the combo and to get into there. Then this is the type of place like you leave everything there. You have these giant wall lockers. You leave all of your hunting clothes. So these guys will get done, you know, working, and they get on their private jet, fly in. They show up, everything's there. You know, they have their own little bungalow house, little casita, and guns are cleaned, everything's stripped, cleaned, re-zeroed, all of your clothes are descented, that type of shit, you know, and you roll up. And so that's where these big celebrities and some big clients come in, guys that are owning like the electric billboard, you know, for the state of Texas, and like he has the rights to every one of those types of guys, right? So yeah, so the Trumps come in, they're doing a hunt here, and so my buddy will fly me in for these types of clients, you know, just to be able to wine and dine and drive them around and just talk shit. And so the Trumps come in, and their plane breaks down. They had plane problems, flight issues, and they get in super late. And by the time they got from the city to us, it's like 2:30 in the morning. They were rolling into camp at 2:30. And we're like, hey, boys, like, if you guys want to kill shit in the morning, like, see you at 6. They're like, all right, we'll be ready. And we waited up for them and shit, and all introduce ourselves. And Secret Service is there. Secret Service is there ahead of time, and we're helping them set up these giant antenna towers and get the lay of the land. And it was funny, you know. They're like, being Secret Service.
For comms? Like
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, full mobile comm system. Yeah. Like, it's crazy. And so we're riding them around, get them in the lay of the land, and then obviously their flight gets delayed, whatever. So they get in late. Dude, these motherfuckers were up. They got no sleep, and they're ready to rock and roll. And so I was like, that right there, I was like, oh shit, okay. Like if it was me, I'm like, we're here for 3 days. I'll see you guys at noon. I'm going to bed, you know? So we're there with the Trumps, Junior, Eric, some of the coolest down-to-earth dudes you've ever met in your life. So me being me, like, I'm not going to change. I don't care who it is. Like, I'm going to fuck with you. I'm going to talk shit. Like, I don't care what you're worth, what you're not worth, your position. I don't care. I treat everybody the same. You're getting shit talked. We're going to have fun. We're going to get ourselves in some trouble probably and almost die. You know, there's a good chance of it. So something will get flipped and thrown out. So we're fucking around and we're having a great time. It's the last night. Everybody's packing up. Secret Service is breaking down all the comms. The whole caravan stage ready to rock and roll with like SUVs and vans. And my buddy of mine that I've brought in with me, he's very, very professional guy too when it comes to guiding. He's from like Rhode Island or something. He's never seen an armadillo in his life. And I kept telling him all that whole week, I'm like, fuck, if I catch one, I'll grab one for you, you know? And so finally, my phone's about to die. We run back to our camp, and on the way back to the camp, there's this giant, I'm talking like Boone and Crockett armadillo in the road, the biggest fucking armadillo I've ever seen in my life. I tell my boy that's driving, my buddy Matt, that runs the ranch, I'm like, yo, stop. So I get out, and I just walk up and grab this armadillo. It didn't even move. I just whoop out of the road. And it's giant armadillo. So I throw it in the bed of the truck and I'm like, we're going to show Phil. Like, no, I don't want to show Phil it. So we grab my charger. We roll back to the house. I plug my phone in. Everything's good to go. Well, I grab Phil and I'm like, hey, dude, I got something for you. And he's like, is it an armadillo? And like, he guessed it immediately. I'm like, oh, fuck, okay. Because he was super pumped. All he wanted to do was see an armadillo.
Fixated on these armadillos.
So I'm like, dude, it's in the bed of the truck. So he gets back there and he's back there wrestling this thing and finally gets his hands on it. And it's whipping in circles. And he's like, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen. Because an armadillo is a creepy looking critter. Mm-hmm. You know, if you've never held one before and everyone's, oh, leprosy, you're going to get leprosy. Whatever. So he's holding this thing and he's like, well, what the fuck do we do with it now? I'm like, I don't know, let it go. And he's like, I bet you won't throw this in Trump's car. I was like, fucking bet. Like, he's like, no shit. I'm like, give me it. So I grabbed this armadillo and it's dark, right? It's dusk. They're all getting ready to roll out. So all the Secret Service.
Yeah, this is what how do you get around these guys?
I just walked right the fuck up to it. The car.
Was it unlocked?
Yeah, the van. And I just, and like the lights come on and everyone's standing there, drums, everybody, they're all bullshitting. And I think nobody says anything with this fucking armadillo because I was messing with them all week. Like they know who I was by the time they left. And so I'm thinking like, yeah, nice try, Bam. So I open up this car and whoop, and I just throw this armadillo in and it hits the floor and buries itself underneath one of the seats. And I shut the door and I turn around and nobody's saying anything. And I'm like take off running, you know, like dipped out real quick. Then Phil, he's around the corner, like, holy fuck, dude, nobody said anything. And I'm like, shit, what do we do? You know, now I'm like, oh, did I just fuck up? Like, I just threw an armadillo in this Trump's caravan. Like, they were supposed to see me, like, nice try, get it the fuck out. And nobody says anything. He's like, dude, you can't say anything. And I'm like, oh shit. So I'm filming.
Now it's getting real.
Yeah, I'm starting to get nervous. So they all start piling in. All right, we're out. We're like, all right, later, boys. Like, we're all dabbing up. Like, later, sir. Like, seeing them, like, looking at the van, like, fuck, who's getting in? Dude, the Trumps. Everybody start loading up in these cars. They get in this van. I'm like, oh, fuck. And my buddy Phil's like, you're so dead. You're so dead. And I'm like, oh, fuck, dude, I'm dead. Like, this is not going to go over well. So we're like, I'm filming all of this, and I'm putting it on Instagram. And we're like, bye. We're like, hee, like giggling like little schoolgirls because we know what the fuck's in that car. And
yeah, this ain't a mouse either.
No, so they start taking off, and we, you know, the way that the ranch is laid out, the main road, you could see the cars coming and going for quite a while, and all of a sudden, like
brake
all
lights.
of them slam their brakes on, and I'm filming. I'm like, oh shit, they found it. And like a minute goes by, and then all the brake, and then they start rolling back out, and off they go. We're like, oh shit, dude, like. They must have found it. They must have found it, right? Like, they must have just kicked it out of the door. So the hunt's over. Next morning, we pick everything up. I get dropped off at the airport. I fly straight from there to a veteran hunt, like a pheasant hunt in, like, Iowa or some Midwest state. I don't even remember what it was. So I fly in and meet my buddy Hunter, and he picks me up, and we're at dinner with all these vets. My phone rings, and it's like...
Have you done, like, kind of forgot about this now?
No, it's still fresh.
Okay.
This is the next day.
Okay.
And it's on my Instagram. Like, it's blowing up. People, because I filmed me, like, this giant armadillo. I'm filming the whole thing as I throw it in this fucking van. Like, thinking they're going to catch me doing this. So I'm in, like, Des Moines, Iowa, or somewhere. We're doing a pheasant hunt. And I get this restricted DC number. And I'm like, that's weird. And we're at this nice, like, steak dinner. And I answer my phone. And I'm like, hello? And he's like, is this Brian Marshall? And I'm like, it is. He's like, this is Special Agent blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yo, what's up, man? He's like, you need to remove all content immediately. And it starts chewing my ass. And I'm like, who is this? Like, who do you work for? Like, how do I know you? He's like, I'm Special Agent blah, blah, head of Secret Service. And I'm like, okay, yeah, what's up? Like, head of Secret Service. I'm like, oh, this is serious. We see your content that you need to be removed immediately. There's going to be major repercussions. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting at dinner like, really? This motherfucker's staring statues. You know, we're tearing statues down and burning fucking everything the city's up. I'm like, we're mad about this? Like, it's just an armadillo. You know, like, chill. This guy's going off on me. And I'm like, fucking, I hang up. And I'm like sitting at this dinner. My buddy Hunter... He's sitting next to me and He's like, what's up? And I'm like, bro, I was Secret Service. Like, they're pissed. He's like, about the armadillo? I'm like, fuck yeah, about the armadillo. He's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what do they want me to do? So I delete the post. This is before
you still have it by chance?
No, this is before you can save your shit. And so I'm sure it's on an old phone somewhere, but it's out there. So I'm like tripping, this. I'm like, fuck, bro, there's going to be repercussions from the Secret Service. Like, what does that mean? I'm like, what's trouble am I in here? Fuck it, whatever, we go about our business. I don't hear anything. And like a month or two later, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia at the NRA. Actually, it might have been Nashville. One of the two. It was either in downtown Nashville or Atlanta. And I'm walking through the NRA and I hear, is that fucking Bam? And I turn around and it's Trump Jr. And I'm like, hey, and he's like, you. And I was like, oh shit. He's like, that was pretty good. He goes, that was pretty good. He goes, let me guess, you, right? I was like, who the fuck else is it going to be? And I was like, tell me that's the shit that legends aren't made out of. He's like, oh, it is what legends are made out of.
Always going to remember you now.
And I was like, man, I got a phone call. He's like, yeah, you got a phone call. He goes, it made it all the way to my dad. Like, it was a big deal.
Really?
I go, for what? And he goes, it wasn't the fact that it was an armadillo. He's like, it was the fact that somebody got a live animal inside the car and no one knew about it.
I'm like, how was this thing even unlocked?
Oh, right? And, I mean, we're on a giant private ranch. It doesn't exist.
Everybody's comfortable now, but these guys still have to do their jobs.
And so I was like, well, how long was it till you guys found it? He goes, middle of the night, because they were leaving our ranch and going to the King Ranch. They were going to go hunt down there. I don't know if you're familiar with the King Ranch. Mm-hmm. And he goes, yeah, halfway to the King Ranch. He goes, this fucking thing come crawling out. He goes, dudes were bailing. People were slammed the brakes on. Secret Service is bailing out of the car. He's like, it was a shit show. He's like, yeah, I made it all the way to the top of Secret Service and my dad. And so, yeah, that's how. So every time I see him now, I always ask him, like, you got any more armadillos? So it's like this inside joke with the Trump family about the armadillo in the car. So yeah, it's anybody can vouch for that one. If you have a connection with Junior, he'll tell you the story. But
yeah, he's not going to forget that one.
No, man, it was hilarious. But I never got in any trouble. So I asked him, like, in all the Secret Service, when he was like, he's the one. And they're like looking at me because I made them look bad, So they're all just staring me down. I'm like, oh, it's cool. Same team, guys.
It's funny.
Same team. But yeah, it was that was a pretty funny one. Like, but that's the shit. People are like, why would you do something like that? Like, why would you not? It's an opportunity.
That's Bam.
It's an opportunity, man. Like I said, I'm gonna be laying on my deathbed, and I'm not gonna lay there and be like, man, I should have thrown that fucking armadillo in that car that day. Like, I'm doing it.
We've been hanging out a couple days. You bring that up a lot, man. One crack at this thing. Like, you keep saying that.
Mm-hmm. There's so many people, man, that are on their death. Like, and you know what? I watched this years ago, and they did these interviews with like these hospice nurses, and they asked them, they're like, you deal with a lot of people that die. Like, what's the most common thing? They all wish they had more time to do it again. Every one of them. Every one of them. They all wish they had more time with their kids, more time with their family. Dude, if you're a religious man, our time is on the scale of life, dude, and on that chart that God's got planned out for us. We're this much on earth. And there's people that sit there and they focus everything on money. Everything. And you can't bring it with you. So you start living your life, man. It's like, I'm gonna have some fucking dope ass stories. We haven't even scratched the surface on stories, but I'm gonna have some badass stories. Maybe write a book one day if it doesn't get me divorced. But I don't know, man. We sit around as a family and and the kids will ask, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And it's like you did this, and the wife will be like, "Yeah, it was not a good time." But you live once. I want no regrets. I mean, we'll all have them, but I'm not gonna sit back and be like, "Man, we should have done that," or I should have gone full send that one time. There's some times where I wish I didn't go full send, but I will not be on. That's my biggest fear, being on my deathbed and wishing that I would. You're always gonna hope you had more time, but like my brother, man, after he passed away, fuck, nope, I'm living life. I am living it. I am not gonna let anything slow it down. they're in for the ride or not. And that's something my wife's kind of had to deal with. Like, there's no slowing me down. I am, what we're going to do, we're doing it. And so, obviously, you got to compromise and grow up and raise a family. But at the same time, like, I am not, you hear these guys like, oh, man, remember before we had kids? Well, before we got married. It's because you let it happen like that. Have your kids, start your family. I love it. Having a family and kids is the greatest thing in my life, but I'm not slowing down. They'll come with me. Like, we'll go. You guys want to go cliff jumping? Fucking doing it. Like, you don't want to do it? Cool, not your thing, but they'll be there.
You think about what happens when that time comes to an end?
What do you mean?
When it's over, your time here.
Mm-hmm. I hope I know what happens, but I don't dwell on it.
You think about it, though?
Not really. No, I mean, I think about the afterlife, 100%.
And what's that thought process like?
Living the greatest life you've ever could imagine.
Better than this one?
Oh, this ain't shit. This ain't shit. We think this is life, and we live for this one, but nope. Nope.
I don't think a lot of people think like that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One crack at it, man.
One, that's it. So you got, like, I was just telling the girls the other day. This guy, I saw this video, and this chick, she's like, if you're 40 years old, you have 37 summers left on average.
I was literally just going to bring that up to you. Yeah.
40 years old, on average, 37 summers left. I got 2 summers left with her before she's out of the house, if she wants to be.
Does that scare you?
I mean, as a father, yeah, but I'm so this is where the wife and I, we differ big time. She is going to be an absolute train wreck. I am not looking for it because I don't want to deal with my wife when the kids leave. It is going to destroy her. But for me as a dad, like, I want to see my kids spread their wings. I want to see them start families. Like, I'm excited for that. That's where I'm like, okay, I want to do a good job now, so when that time comes, I'm not the dad that's like, oh, okay. I'll always hover, and I've said it before, like, I'm their personal security guard till the day that I take my last fucking breath. No ifs, ands, or buts. I'll always be there for them. But I want them to be able to go and spread their wings and build a badass life for themselves. But the wife, no. She'd lock them up, and they would never leave if she had the option. But, yeah, that's where I'm like, no, babe, we can't look at it like that. Like, let them spread. Spread their wings. Fucking go on a journey. Go live life. Go abroad. Go get in trouble. Go party your ass off. Go experience life. Go create some stories for your own. That's what it's about, you know. At least how I look at it. Not everybody has that image, and that's where it's sad. You see these dudes work their whole lives for money, man. We need it. It's unfortunately it's the root of all evil. I'm 100% a believer in that, but it's. Heard a dude say it not too long ago, and it stuck with me big time. He's like, you know, and I have it. I have friends that have nothing but money. They have nothing besides all the money in the world, and they are the most miserable, depressing people to ever be around. And they have multi-million-dollar homes, $100 million companies, and they are fucking depressed.
Because that's all they got.
That's all they've worked for.
Yeah.
Gotta grind.
Probably.
That's all they've lived for. Gotta grind. I respect the grind, man. By all means, I respect the grind. Where do you find that balance? Especially you're a young dad, man. You're gonna look up one day and be like, "Fuck, dude, my kid's 10 years old. I've been at work for the last 10 years. Spend 12 minutes a day on average with my kid. Nope. Fuck that." No, not for me. I'll sacrifice everything, money, everything. We get by, but we've chosen this life. Like we're comfortable.
No, I know you guys do well, but you live a very, it seems like, modest life.
Yes, because that's where these people, like, when you learn you don't need to keep up with the Joneses. Do I want a brand new ATV and toys to be in the mountains? Fuck yeah, help me out hunting, 100%. Do I want the best glass? Best guns, I want all of that, but I would rather be able to be like, yo, you guys want to drive to the redwoods and rent a tree house and live in a tree house for the next 4 or 5 days and explore the redwoods? I'd rather that, you know. But then at the same time, we're like, well, I could afford that and that. At what cost? Now, if you're lucky enough and you've built an empire and you can cruise, fuck, dude, that's the ultimate dream. But you're rotting away in an office working for somebody else, making somebody else money, and your kids don't even have, like I said earlier, that's statistic. I swear it's 12 or 15 minutes a day that these
I've
dads
heard it.
are
I know you're right.
genuinely spending with their children. That would kill me if I go on trips now and I leave and I'm like, fuck, I want to get home. I'd rather be kicking it with my kids. But yeah, man, it's the people work for money, and I have so many people in my life that is the blinder, and I guarantee you, like, they're not as happy as we are. There's a difference between being rich and wealthy, man. I consider myself very wealthy. I got what I have. This is wealth to me. I don't care to be rich. I don't fucking need it. Yeah, do I want to go hunt ibex in Tajikistan? Fuck yeah, I do. I ain't there yet.
Yeah, but you'd rather go hunt black bears in the mountains with your kids.
I'd rather take my kids and watch my daughter pack a bear out.
Yeah.
I'm going to get more joy out of that. I 100% know I will. So that's the balance where I think a lot of people lose it, is they get so fixated on keeping up with the Joneses, having to have that life and look like that image for other people that do not give a shit about you. I don't care. I'll do that. Truck sitting out there has been paid off for 7 years. I can go. Why? It's another payment. I'll drive that truck around. I have no problem. No problem. That's. I would rather have that. I'm not saying that I can't go get a new truck, but it's just that's a whole other payment. I would rather create memories. I'm big. Create memories. Spend as much time with your family as you can. Like, we need to get back to that shit. Instead of working from 9 to 5 your whole entire life, and before you know it, your kids are off to college, and we're empty nesters, I get to retire, and you just missed so much. Dude, kids, not the early stages, for me at least, when they were little blobs, it's, especially if they're stuck on a boob and they're just little creatures and a little parasite at that point. Not much we could do, but when those little kids start running around, man, and they start becoming their little person, it is the greatest shit to be there for them, and I wouldn't want to miss that for anything. Like, you're on the right path, man. Being able to have a free life, that's wealthy. Not having to report to somebody all day, grinding your ass off to make them money while you're making the same shit every single day. That's why these people that get in this rat race, or they become, military or law enforcement, and they start to get miserable with it, and that's their life. Get the fuck out of it. Go. Start a side hustle. Quit. Put yourself in an uncomfortable position, because then you see what you need, what you don't need, downsize. Yeah, man. That's how I look at life completely different. And there was a while, when I was younger, I wanted giant lifted trucks and the toys and everything to be able to show off. But once you realize that people just don't care and you're doing it to please other people, save that money and put it in the memories with your kids.
Has she brought a boy home yet?
No. They've tried. It ain't working. It'll happen. Mm-hmm. So.
Can you call me when you know it's going to happen, so I can just be a fly on the wall?
It's going to be interesting. I've set some standards and rules for dating.
Okay.
You can't be that dad, right?
Let's dive into it.
Can't be that dad. Even though I am hardcore that dad, you can't be that dad where, like, you're not dating until you're 20. You just can't. One thing that you will discover, boy or girl, hope it's just a healthy baby, but you're going to figure out that kids are going to be whatever that kid is going to be. You can help guide and introduce them into things that'll help create and sculpt who they are, like martial arts or hunting or hobbies, things like that. But whatever that kid is into, they're going to be into, and whatever they like, they're going to like. That's one thing that you've learned as a father. So with her, it's, I have very beautiful daughters, and I can't be that dad, but I'm going to be the protective dad. So yeah, we came up with some ground rules, and the wife and I sat down one night, because obviously, and she knows it, and once the rut switches, and these kids, these 14, 15-year-old, and I explained it to her. I'm like, we've been out elk hunting where it turns on overnight and every bull's lip curled, and I explained it to her, like, hey, these boys, it's full rut. Like, they're not here to be your friends anymore, right? And so we have those conversations.
Yeah, we're not playing tag on the playground anymore.
No, they don't want to get to know you.
Yeah.
And hang out, right? And so, but when the time came, I felt it was fair, and the wife and I sat down, and I was like, okay, cool, here's my rules. These are the things that are going to happen in order for her to date. And I got crucified over saying this, but I don't care. I'm not going to change. Like, your boyfriend or the boy that is potentially wanting to court my daughter is going to have to date us as a family. And what I mean by that is they're coming over here. We're going to be spending time together. I want to know who this kid is that's coming into my daughter's life. And it's not even just my daughter. If I had a son, I would want to know these girls are fucking crazy these days. Like, I have a teenage daughter. I get to hear all the stories. I'd be terrified if I had a teenage son right now. It's just as bad. So I want to be able to get to know the kid that is coming into my child's life. I want to know who their family is. I want to know what they come from. I want to know those things because there's some scary things out there. And so I want to be able to know that. And then it comes down to her knowing her self-worth and her value. That is more important to me than anything, because if they know their worth, they know their value, they're not going to let some just kid come in and be like, oh, you're gorgeous, and then they just automatically are sucked to these kids. She knows who she is. She knows what she brings to the table, and when she can check those boxes, cool. Like, it helps reassure me a little bit, because I watch these kids and these teenagers these days, and they're so desperate for attention and that male figure, and these girls just, they don't have it. They don't have the fathers that are like in their life, and you can see where it goes very quickly. And so with her, it comes down to her knowing her self-worth and her value. But that kid, he's going to come here and he's going to sit down at our table. We're going to talk. I'm not going to be that, I mean, she'll probably argue, but I feel like I'm not that dad, like the, what is it? The Bad Boys, when he opens the door and that kid ends up making it, though, I didn't see the last episode or the last movie. He's a Marine, but yeah, man, it's just I'm always going to be protective, but I have my guidelines, and it's so crucial right now, boys and girls. There's so much going on in a teenager's life. They're developing, they're exploring, they're discovering, they're going through all these hormonal changes. There's so much going on in your teenager's life. If I'm going to allow another one to come in and impact and bring their problems and what they're going through into my developing teenager's life, I want to know who the fuck that's going to be. And so, yeah, we laid those ground rules down, and there's been a couple boys, and a big lesson that she goes off of is if you make them work for it. Make them get to know you, who you really are, and see how long that lasts. See how long it lasts. See if you're worth it, for this teenage boy, and he's telling you the world, he has no problem coming over here and putting in the work and getting to know you and getting to know your family. I don't see a problem with that. I'm not going to be the dad, oh, yeah, you're not dating until this time. She's not sneaking out, people, oh, you can't control your daughter. I'm not going to control her, but these are my rules under my roof. I don't think that they're terrible. You show me maturity and that you know your worth and your value, cool. Fuck, good luck, kid. Like, start winging them out. So, yeah, we've had a few that have tried to run the gauntlet, and they don't last very long. So she starts picking shit out real quick. Mm-hmm. And it's helped. So most of them don't want to come over. If I was doing it at their age, they can do it. I don't care. I don't care what this generation, people, oh, it's a different generation. Cool. Not in my house.
You're the real deal, man.
You can come knock on my door. You can come sit down at my table, and we can have dinner. I'll let you. You can come over. Fuck, I got work for you. I'll put your ass to work out back. Mm-hmm. No problem. That's all I ask. If they don't have the guts to come and talk to me, they don't need to be spending any time with my daughter. I don't think it's a tough request.
I don't think it's unreasonable.
Nope. Because they're gonna have. She goes to youth group. She has this huge group of friends that she's all from all over the valley, so she's getting introduced. She can go sneak off. She can do whatever she wants. But I don't have to worry about it. She never give me a reason to worry about it. We communicate. Hey, there's this cute boy. Wrote me a letter. I'm like, cool. Let me know when I gotta step in.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Let me know when he's coming over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had this one kid. Can I tell the story about Justin Bieber?
Yes. Just don't put the name out there.
This kid, I'm laying on the couch. It's like it's late afternoon. It's in the summertime. And the wife's like, this kid's coming over. I'm like, what fucking kid? She's like, this kid likes Christy. And I'm like, who? Like, he's coming over? I'm like, okay, cool. And she's like, he's here. So I jump up and I run out back and I pull my shirt off and I come ripping the back door open. And this kid, I swear to God, he was little. And And I walk into this conversation, and the wife's like, "So who do you look like?" He's like, "Oh, my mom tells me I look like Justin Bieber and Paul Walker." And he says this, and her and I make eye contact and burst out laughing at the same time. Like, I was laughing so hard, I like had to run out the back door. And it was just absolutely hilarious. But it's funny with these kids because they don't last very long when you actually make them put in just the slightest bit of work. I'm not even saying you got to run through the trenches yet. That'll come, but just the slightest little bit. So it's been fun as a dad in the teenage dating years and watching this evolve in these kids. And just, she'll ask, like, "Dad, what's going on in teenage boys' mind?" It's hard because these teenagers are so different. They're all raised with phones, and they know way more than I knew at that age. Right. So it's an interesting world to raise a teenage daughter in the dating world, but at the same time, like, they're gonna date, they're gonna find boys that they're attracted to, and they got to be able to wing them out, and that's where showing her as a father how a man treats their mother, how to be affectionate and caring and loving, and they get to see that all day long, and hopefully it wears off, and that's what she looks for in a relationship. And if she's not getting it, hopefully she finds it. But yeah, it's the dating world is hilarious right now because all these kids, they all think they're little Rico Suaves, and they got it all figured out. It's like, you little motherfucker, I invented that shit.
Kid's got 500 followers on TikTok. He thinks he's somebody.
Yeah. So it's fun. I enjoy it. It's cool with her being able to talk, and she'll go out and hang out and comes back with the stories and just listen. Yeah,
it's good. Anything else on your heart, man? I know it's my show right now, but we're at your place.
No, man. Nope. I mean, like I said earlier, money ain't everything. Stop chasing it. Live your dream. Get to where you're good and you're happy. Always be excelling and growing. But it's hard to find that balance between sacrifice for money and wealth or being rich versus having that time with your family. So it's not easy. We've sacrificed a lot. I've walked away from a lot because it took too much time away, but I'm happy where I'm at, and I feel like I got good kids with good heads on their shoulders, and it comes down to just spending time. Excited, man. I'm excited to watch you grow as a father, and it's going to be a journey, and just, like I said, spend as much time with them. It's just time. That's all kids want. That's all they want. That is all they need is just time.
Yeah.
That's it. Just time. You spend that with them, man, you'll have some pretty rad kids, and you get to know them on a very, very personal level.
Thank you. Yeah, we're stoked. 2 side things, and then we're out of here.
Yeah.
Who's the most famous person in your phone?
Politically wise, or like money wise, or follower wise?
In your opinion.
Famous? I mean, the Trumps are pretty famous, I would say. Dan Bilzerian. Actually, he was just bullshitting with him last night, too. He hit me up about my Tim Kennedy post. He's got some numbers. I got dudes, but honestly, man, like, getting to know those people, they're completely different.
They're people.
They're people.
Yeah.
They're people. So yeah, I guess, yeah, Dan's up there. Cowboy Cerrone, he's good buddy. I mean,
you should have him on.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he just got a hair transplant. He's looking right.
He did.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah, he got
right.
that a while ago. I guess
just
looking good now, but yeah, I'd say Dan, the Trumps. I know I've had some other ones in the past, but I probably just don't talk to them anymore. I'm sure I got a few more in there.
Yeah. Were you dogging Tim Kennedy, or what happened?
Yeah.
You were?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people dog that dude.
He's a piece of shit.
Really?
Yeah. Straight up. He's a piece of shit human being. He's one of the top narcissists. He's full of shit.
Interesting.
He's accomplished himself, so I'm not going to take a thing away, but he is a top-tier narcissist. If it is not about Tim, he is not about it. So the whole community's turning on him right now.
I've noticed that.
They're I don't know if you watched that Anti-Hero podcast.
No, I saw a clip. It's like,
those dudes have outed everything they've gone through and his whole book, and called people he was with like they can't confirm anything. Like, it's all an image, man. That's why you idolize nobody. Idolize no one. Mm-hmm. Nobody.
I meant that too when I said that an hour ago. I don't fucking look up to nobody, dude.
No, you get that. Dude, so I guess famous Post Malone. I went down and we were with him in Salt Lake, and everybody like worships this dude, right? He's a mega superstar. He's not even a superstar anymore. He's a mega superstar.
Tell me he's a sweetheart.
Fucking coolest dude ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coolest dude ever. But like, I tell my kids, and they watch firsthand, and you idolize nobody. And so I'm backstage. It's this after party. We're in this tent, small, very small group. And dude, I didn't even say a fucking word to him. I haven't sat on. I'm sober. I'm driving a giant armored truck, so I can't do it. I can't even smoke. You know, I'm fucked. It's 3 a.m. I'm just sitting there chilling, drinking a bottle of water all night. I'm not gonna go up like you're a man just like me. I'll introduce myself, but oh, Post, can I get a picture? I'm not gonna ask to take a fucking picture with you. And so yeah, I'm like FaceTiming them, like, hey, yeah, I'm just chilling, like, be home tomorrow morning, trying to get the fuck out of here, you know. But at the end of the night, dude, him and I, we connect, fucking bullshitted, took him for a drive in the truck, and he almost ran through a fence, and it was crazy. Got a picture then with him because we're bullshitting, but like, I'm not gonna go out of my way to like, oh my god, you can't. Don't meet your hero. You don't ever meet your heroes.
A lot of these young guys are getting caught up in that, man.
It's not what it is.
They're getting caught up in it.
Have fun, live your life, party with them, but yeah, dude, they're all humans. Everybody's make the same mistakes as us. They put their pants on the same way and bleed just like we do. Like when I say I idolize nobody, like I idolize no one. Not saying that in like some like proudful way, but it's just when you get to learn people and who they are, they're all the same. Everyone's the same. Even some psychiatrist that's sitting there talking and you're telling her all your problems, she's got just the same fucked up problems because we're humans. Everybody's the same.
Nobody's got it all figured out.
No one's got it figured out. You meet the people that got it figured out, and you're like, that dude's more fucked than I am.
Yeah.
I thought he got it figured out. This dude's a motivational speaker, giving life lessons and being a coach, and I'll hang out with him like, that dude's fucked. And you start learning that, you're like, oh, everyone's the same. Yeah. Oh, he's got a couple million followers, dude. He's just as depressed, just as happy, just as sad. They're all the same, man. All the same. Like Dan Bilzerian, he's a perfect example, dude. I go hang out with him, dude. We sit on the couch and just watch a fight all night. It's just him, nothing. He doesn't party. But you look online, it's women and party. He just wants to kick it. That's it. They're just normal dudes, all of them.
Yeah. You got a feel for me. You got a feel for how I like to host my show.
Mm-hmm.
You have a general understanding of what I'm doing over here.
Yeah.
Give me 3 guys that you feel like would be a good fit for the podcast.
Ooh, I think you should have Jana on. She would be great.
Who's that?
Jana Waller with Skullbound TV.
Okay.
She's a stud, man, especially anything industry-wise, knowing things. Fit dudes. I'm trying to think of your demographic.
Again, I don't really have. I have a demographic, but I don't.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That's a good question.
This is usually when I get some like dead space, so that's okay. Like dead air, that's fine.
Yeah, it's post-production. Makes it easy, right? Guys that you should have on. That's a tough one. I'm trying to go through my Rolodex right now. My thing is, like, when it comes to people, it's anybody, man. Honestly, like, it's hard to give a list because the list in my mind automatically goes to like celebrities that I would sit down with. I love hearing from the normal everyday Joe.
Yeah.
Your blue collar worker that's out there turning wrenches, but he's maybe a cop or he's a retired vet or something like that, or used to be a firefighter and now he's got a side business and trying to grow something. Like, those are the stories I love to hear, the grassroots ones. Is personally, like, if I could recommend people, would be finding your grassroots everyday hometown hero and giving him a voice and a platform.
You're the second or third person that's kind of told me that. You familiar with Derek Wolf?
I know of Derek. Yeah, I don't know him personally.
He told me the same thing. I had him on the show.
Yeah.
He's like, interview the guy off the street.
Mm-hmm.
And I found myself getting caught up in the next big one. Who am I going to get? Blah,
Yeah.
blah. People want to see this. Blah. Fuck what people want to see.
Mm-hmm.
What do I want to do? What do I want to talk about?
Yeah.
And that could be with anybody. I'm thinking about pulling a random transient off the street downtown Billings.
That'd be dope.
Come on.
What's
let's
your
go.
story?
What's your story? Why are you here?
Mm-hmm. How'd you get here?
Yeah.
Those are what's more, I mean, we've all heard the celebrities talk, you know, and that's why I like James, even though James is outdoor based, it's not the same outdoor podcast interviewing the same people every year and just rotating through them.
Right.
He can have a pilot on that was a bush pilot, you know, you've never, some 70-year-old man that still flies planes, to some chick that's flying a helicopter netting sheep off the mountain. You know, it's such a vast range of people. That's what I think is I really enjoy personally. So, I mean, obviously, like, I'd love to sit down with Sean Ryan, I'd love to sit down with JD Vance. Those are like probably my top two. I got some other guys in the teams that I would like to sit down with. Yeah, but like other than that, like I love like as the names build on the wall. It's everyday Joes, you know.
Yeah.
And getting their story.
Cool.
That would be my recommendation, man. Just
No, that's perfect. No,
everyone's got a story, but not everybody gets a chance to be able to tell it.
Yeah, well said. Plug your podcast, please.
Wild Chaos, man. Wild Chaos Podcast. We launched it 11 months ago, and I sit down and do the same format. I just find people with interesting stories. Obviously, mine's more veteran, not all veteran based, but that's just the world I've been consumed with for the last decade. So I know a lot of vets, a lot of wounded vets. But I sit down with entrepreneurs, guys that have lost it all, built it all again, and just anybody that has a story. I mean, we were awesome to be able to sit and talk yesterday and hear your story, and it's a really cool way for me to be able to get to know people on a completely like, and I'd say the majority of the people that I sit down with so far, I have no idea who they are until they step in my front door and sit down and have a conversation with them and just see where it goes. And it's usually pretty awesome to be able to just have people share their stories and their life experiences.
Good. Well, thank you for inviting Morgan and I over to your house.
Absolutely, man.
You got two awesome kids, great wife.
Thank you.
You're good people. What you've built here is fucking incredible. I keep telling you that, but I mean it. If I didn't think that it was, I'd tell you this is trash, and it's not. It's really awesome. And yeah, thanks for letting me do the show here in your studio as well.
For sure, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love to do it again. Definitely.
I told you we aren't easily impressed, and yeah, I mean, what's the word I'm looking for? It's admirable. Like we admire you guys, like for real. What you've done, the guy you are, how you've raised your girls.
Honestly, I owe all that to the wife. You have a good wife, man. Like, just don't fuck it up. We're dumb. We're dudes. And we fuck up everything. We're going to make our mistakes, but, you know, it's when you got a good one, you got to appreciate it. And it took me a long time to realize that and to grow up and mature. But, yeah, man, I owe obviously a lot of it to her, and obviously, you know, being blessed. But, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It is not easy. That's for sure. So if you want to have good kids, man, it's a lot of time in the field.
Yep. Appreciate it, man. You guys go check out Bam's podcast, Wild Chaos. I'll be on there in a month or two, and yeah, start listening to it. It's really good stories, really, really good people on there too, and get in on it while it's still where it's at, because it's going to be on top charts before
Thank you.
Before you know it, and I mean that. So
thank you,
man. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.